welcome to our podcast. It's called Directly to You. It's a Nintendo podcast. I'm here. I'm AJ. I'm joined by Parker.
Hello, it's me, Parker.
This intro is never the same because I'm not Will.
There you go. He's got it down, man.
It's kind of intentional.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really want to be all that buttoned up, but I mean, either way, we gotta pay bills. You know what I mean? So this is the housekeeping stuff.
That's right.
You can join as a member on our channel if you love the things that we do for $4.99 every month. And what do you get for that? You get loyalty badges. You get freaking emotes. You get gaming time with us. You get Switch keys from time to time. I dropped the Switch key for SteamWorld Quest.
Yeah, you did.
That's the game. That's the one, amongst other things. And you could be one of those people. You could also join our Discord. That's linked. I don't promote that a lot. I should probably promote that more. But there's also like the Anchor listener support program. But just be a member on YouTube. It's more bang for your buck.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
How you doing, Parker?
I'm doing great. Here's some things. Today, I took the day off because last night I went to see Endgame. Absolutely no spoilers to anybody who's listening.
No spoilers. That's
zero
not what
spoilers.
the show is.
I have no respect for spoilers. But just about the event or the experience of like getting to it or all that stuff. So we watched it at 10 p.m. and it's a 3-hour movie, and we watched it at a theater that was 45 minutes from our house because it's got like a big old Dolby screen and it's like real nice and stuff. So again, 10 p.m. that's a thing. So we got there a little bit early and we were hanging around, and it was huge. There was like absolutely no parking. We had to park at the Chipotle parking lot. I mean, this is a big theater and we had to park like far away.
Rip.
And so that's the thing. But then we walked in there and we were like, we should not have come in this early, because at 10 was like exactly around when all the 6 p.m. like first showing people were starting to get out. And you know that they're not really thinking about not talking about spoilers and stuff. So as they were walking out, we were like plugging our ears and like trying to not hear anything. And it was a really stressful time.
Batman showed up.
He was Luke's father. Like, oh man, it was like, seriously, just my wife and I were standing just looking at each other, just saying gibberish words a bunch, and we could tell a ton of people around us were doing the exact same thing, just like trying to work through it. So yeah, we managed to not get any spoilers outside of the one that I mentioned to you before the podcast that I won't even specifically comment about, but like for the most part, no spoilers. But then had a grand old time, got home at 2 a.m. and took the day off today, obviously. So yeah, it's been a day.
I had the opposite experience of that. I went at 6 o'clock, everything was fine. It was a good and dandy time. You know what I mean, Parker?
I don't, unfortunately. I wish I
did. You gotta go early, man. You can't freaking messing with these people.
No, yeah, I should have. But yeah, so that was that part of the week in any case. It was very fun, just overall. So
I'm playing a lot of games.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear
a whole lot. I've been playing Cuphead. Not really anything new to share there. I knew the game was good. I had fun with the game the first time when I played it on Xbox. But now I'm playing it exclusively on handheld mode, and that's cool.
Yeah, I watched the Digital Foundry video on it too, and apparently, like, the game is just perfect for...
It's just the same game.
Yeah, because it's like the graphics, I think, are already 720p. That's just how they are because of the graphics style. Like, that's what it is. So it's one of those where, like, you'd think... Because some indie games, like, just obviously Stardew Valley looks exactly the same in handheld mode as it would elsewhere, because it's 16-bit graphics or whatever. But for this, you'd kind of think like, oh, maybe it'll be downgraded, but nope, it's exactly the same and looks great.
Did you play Cuphead at all?
I have not yet. I only say looks great from the footage I've seen, not from me actually playing it. So
are you like planning to? Because I know you're like less into the whole like try hard sort of situation.
I mean, I played through a good bit of Dark Souls, so like I don't have a problem with like hard games and stuff specifically, but Yeah, actually, my wife wants me to get Cuphead.
Oh yeah,
as
I think
well.
we did talk about that.
So
and, yeah, I remember.
So I very well
that.
may. I showed her some footage of it today because she just wanted to see what it looked like. I was showing her Donkey for one thing, and she thought he was very funny, which don't we all? Probably. But then I showed her some Cuphead footage as well. So I'll probably end up getting it here in a little bit. I've got a big backlog, so what can
I
you
gotta
do?
get a new Pro controller. Speaking of that, because that's a major problem why I haven't been playing it on the TV. I mean, granted, I want to play it in handheld mode mostly anyway, just because like I can, and I couldn't do that on Xbox.
True.
But my Pro controller is just effed. You know what I mean? Too much smashing, too many Smash Bros.
Too many Smash Bros. Do you not use like the Joy-Con separately? Playing docked?
No, I don't even consider doing that. if it's docked, it's docked. Like the whole thing.
That's funny.
So like right now for Smash Bros, I'm just using the PDP controller that Bob sent me, and I don't like it because like I just don't like it for like a reason that every time I tell somebody I don't like it for this reason, they're like, "That's weird. I don't even notice that." But I don't like that it doesn't vibrate because that's like the rumble is like a lot of how I like judge like, oh, okay, I need to DI this way because I got hit and I'm going to land here and I landed, and you know, like that sort of situation. But now I have only the visual side of it to judge and say like, okay, I got hit this way, let me move that way. But I liked having the additional like, okay, I got hit, now let me start DIing.
I am not nearly smart enough to do that based on vibration. But man, that's really interesting. Yeah, I would not have thought of that as like an important component anymore. I mean, it's cool. Like I think it's very fun and like it adds to the experience, but it's one of those, it's just additive to me as opposed to it being kind of compulsory or actually necessary.
It just makes it less it makes it more mindless for me to like do the thing that I need to do next.
Right.
I don't have to think about it as much when I feel it happening. Versus waiting for it to hit me and like visually.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother, you know what? I'm going to go a little bit further on Smash Bros. Because I've been noticing something that I didn't, that is happening more and more as I play this game. So I talked about before how I just like kind of got bored of Elite Smash because like everybody's like salty and try hard and kind of toxic.
Yeah.
So I started just making arenas and having people join those. People that join arenas are equally as salty, even though nothing is at stake. You know, like you're not going to lose GSP if you get destroyed.
Right.
So every time it never ever fails. There's always these signs that somebody's salty. So the first sign. Okay, so this is the trajectory of me facing somebody in an arena. I fight, and it's a good fight, and everybody's competitive, and like they're trying, and you can tell they're trying, but it's like you're just playing. They lose. Generally, it's at least 2 to 3 stocks that they lose by. After this, they either immediately rematch with the same character that they're playing, and they're extremely more aggressive. They then lose again. And then they change their character. Now, there's a couple of possibilities when they change their character. Either they're going to try to change to like a heavy that's kind of cheap with lag and stuff like Ganon or DDD or like a character like that. They lose again. And then they do the next step, but I'll get to the other part of this step specifically. Or they'll change to their main, which is like whatever's in their profile picture. Same deal, like they're a lot more aggressive, blah, blah, blah. Or they'll change to Pokemon Trainer. Because they're like, oh, this is why he's winning, because he's using Pokemon Trainer. Obviously, that's the best character in the game, clearly. When that doesn't work, you go to step 3. Step 3, they just get real salty, and they do stuff like just keep entering the battle and not moving, or SDing, like just trying to waste my time. So then you move to the last step, which is where I start kicking them. They immediately rejoin. I kick them again. They immediately rejoin.
How often does this happen?
It happens every time I play this game now.
Oh my goodness.
Every single time. It's like we don't have a few people that will just leave. You know, like they'll lose a couple matches and then they'll just leave. But it never fails in a session of me playing this game. I usually play like on average like 1 to 2 hours per session, unless I'm playing with somebody I know.
Yeah.
And especially that because like another thing that I gotta add, but like you can't do like the Mario Kart thing, because they would be real salty if you could do like, I'm playing in handheld mode, you know. But like when I'm playing in these matches, I'm playing handheld mode. I'm not even like trying to be good, you know. Like I just playing Smash Brothers. So like it's a whole thing.
That's so like. If I were in that person's shoes, I mean, okay, we've talked about the fact that I'm not super competitive as a human being before anyway, right. But like, unless I felt like you were being obnoxiously, just obnoxious, you know, in some way or another, I would probably be like, oh, this person's better than me. I should learn to figure out what my weaknesses are, you know, like take an opportunity to be able to rematch and figure out what's going on. And so, I mean, I also understand like wanting to win. So like, that's definitely a thing. But if you're, I don't know.
I just don't get the salt, because it would make sense to me if I, like, say I was a NES player and I just spam PK Fire and all you hear is PK Fire, PK Fire, PK Fire. I can understand the salt. Then it makes sense to me. But I'm just playing the game. You know, like, you see me play with Pokemon Trainer. It's like certain things lead to certain situations where it's like you're going to get hit by forward air, you're going to get hit by the shell, or you're going to get hit by whatever, and then you get to me to a certain percent, and then I change, and then I'm Ivysaur, and then you get wrecked for however many stock, because Ivysaur is obviously the best character out of the three, and then you get me up to a high enough percent and I go to Charizard. Like it's not like, and even when I'm Charizard, I'm not gonna like sit there and just flare blitz like most people would. I'm gonna try to hit you with a back air, I'm gonna try to grab you, I'm gonna try to, like, dude, I play the character, you know, like I'm not just sitting here spamming. So I don't understand the salt, but it happens, you know. So at the end of the day, there's no escape from the salt unless I'm playing with somebody I know. Which even then, I was playing with Logan yesterday, and he did the same thing, where it was like he got salty, and he was playing with like characters like Ness and, you know, like that type of stuff, like spamming not Ness, Lucas spamming PK Freeze, and it's like, are you serious? Like, you really think I'm involved in this? It's nonsense. But the other game that I'm playing and recently, like just started playing it a couple hours ago, is Boxboy plus Boxgirl. It's a cool game. I'm getting all the hats and the glasses and the patterns.
It looks patterns. Like the mechanic for that stuff seems to be similar-ish to in Yoshi's Crafted World, with a little like whatever that's called, like where you put in a quarter and you twist it and the thing comes out, like a gumball machine type thing. Is that pretty much the same way?
You mean like getting the hats and stuff like that? That's what it is.
Cool.
It's pretty much the same exact thing, because like, you know, like when that first showed up, people were like, does this have loot boxes? Do you have to grind for this? Like, nah, it just gives you a random thing, and then like you can't get that thing again. Like,
which I actually really like that system in, I mean, because there's a limited quantity, at least in Yoshi's Crafted World, the way that it works, like there being a limited quantity of it and that kind of thing, like, you know that if you just do it enough, you'll just end up getting that thing, and it's not like you have to pay for it, you just playing a fun little game, as opposed to like, I really liked Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but you getting blades in that game was fairly just annoying.
You can get duplicates and stuff like that.
Exactly. You end up getting a bunch of crappy little ones or whatever, even though you use like an epic what are those things called? Crystal? It's not a crystal, but whatever it is. So go on. Yes, Boxboy and Boxgirl.
So I like it. This is kind of weird that it's from HAL, and there's like, I'm on the third world. There's nothing that's like, man, how do I beat this? You know, like generally I beat everything that I try on my first try, you know, don't die or nothing like that. But they're clever. It's like, oh, that was neat how they did that and how I was supposed to solve that. There's nothing like that in Kirby. Why do you not use the like cool little ideas that you have for Boxboy and just put it in Kirby? You know, like there's just like a lot of like quick, neat mechanics that are along the lines of like that Yoshi thing that like I was about, like the magnet and stuff like that, where it's like, it's not rocket science, but it's neat, you know. It's like, oh, that was cool that you thought of it like that. That's not something that happens in every game, you know.
I guess to some degree, because in Kirby, at least the most recent ones, it's been less like puzzle focused and more combat-ish focused, which I put in kind of heavy quotation marks, because so, but then still, like, something to that effect. I would be very happy with it being very basic combat, kind of like it is, but then including some more puzzly things. Like that's
Right, like,
I'd be down with that.
At the end of the day, like the core of like a game like Kirby, especially since like it's not like a capital P platformer where it's hard to platform, you know.
Yep.
The challenge is in figuring out like these little puzzles and stuff like that, or supposed to be in that, but it just doesn't exist. There's like no pushback at all. And Boxboy shows me that they're capable of doing that, and they just don't.
Yep.
Also, I'm sad because I was supposed. I don't know how many like Nintendo ambassadors you follow, but they sent out
probably
like
all of them. I think. Yeah, every single one.
Possibly. I don't even know how many there are.
I don't know.
So you would have one up on me in that regard. But they sent out like these physical like paper craft like Boxboy things. And I got an email with the game and they were like, oh yeah, we don't have your correct address on file. So I didn't get that.
Oh man.
I'm going to get it, but like they got to remail it or put in a forward or whatever. So I can't talk about that. I didn't get to I put out a tweet as I usually do when I get a Nintendo game. Always, really. Because like at the bare minimum, I want to tell you like, hey, I got this game. These are like my early like brief little impressions. Unless I really like it, and then I'm going to play through it, and like whatever happens with that happens, whether it be a video or whatever. But I see like this is one of those games where I don't know if I want to make a video about it, but I'll probably like tweet sporadically about my playthrough where it's like, this is an interesting puzzle thing, you know.
How many worlds are there? You said you're on the third world?
I'm on the third world.
Gotcha.
Nintendo says that there's over 200 levels.
Oh, okay.
So
when you say the third world, do you don't mean level, you mean like subset of levels, like a Mario
like
World
Mario
kind of thing.
World.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, nice. Is that including the have you done any of the multiplayer stuff? The plus Boxgirl things? Cool.
Nope.
I
didn't have time to do that.
Yeah. I played just the demo, but I didn't play the multiplayer stuff. I just played the single player stuff. But yeah, it seems fun from the little bits that I've played, and neat little mechanics and stuff that they built up in there.
I'm kind of sad that I played the demo though. I mean, like, if you're not sure if you want to get this game and that sort of situation, like, definitely play the demo.
Yeah.
But like, because I knew that I was going to get the game, and a lot there's like it's like an amalgam of like some of the levels like throughout the game,
right?
I don't know how far deep they go in, but I know that I played through certain levels and it's like, oh yeah, I did this in the demo. And they're not like, it's not like a straight shot. It's not like here's world 1, which I would have preferred they do. But they kind of like took different levels so you can get an idea of like how they use the mechanics, where it's like, this is the one with the electricity and you gotta use blocks to get around that, and here's the one where you gotta dig through the sand-ish stuff
whatever that is,
on like Dig Dug or whatever. So like that sort of thing. So I'm like getting to these mechanics as I go, and it's like it's paced well. It's like teaching you how to use the mechanics like bit by bit, but I already knew how to do that because how the demo is.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like I wish I didn't play that, but I did.
I really enjoy demos like the Octopath Traveler demo. I was really happy with kind of how that worked, where it's like, yep, you can do as much stuff as you want. You just got a 3-hour limit, and then, but within that 3 hours, just have fun, and then that'll carry over into the full thing. Like I appreciate that too, because it's like, really, it's just like, hey, just get a taster for the first part of the game, or it's like you're buying the game and then you can return it after 3 hours, kind of a situation. Yeah. That's
because it's like. I like being able to try the game out and stuff like that, but like if I end up liking it, I don't want to replay the stuff that I already played.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so all that things. So and it's $10, is that right? $9.99.
They don't have a price on here.
I think that's right. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's it. We can find out for sure.
Which is weird, because usually they tell me the price, but it's not on here.
Here, I'll look it up. Boxboy and Boxgirl. It says that it is $300. Just kidding.
OMG.
No, it's loading right now. $9.99. Yep. lo and behold.
I would definitely say it's worth that.
Cool.
Easy.
Yep. That's I actually that makes me think of it. I'll talk to you about a thing after. So at some point I'd like to make a video about a thing that's related to things similar to that, but I'm going to talk about a game that I've been playing now.
Okay, what's that?
It's SteamWorld Quest, the one of the related to the video that
well, we'll get into that. Or do you want to like talk about that and then talk about your video like we did last week?
Yeah, so
like just in one shot.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that, mostly because there weren't really any specific comments that I'm going to be reading out except for Striker XL's, and even his was more like, I'm just grateful that he commented, because so I'll his comment was just because I mentioned Golden Sun towards the end of it, and I said I only played the first game of Golden Sun, but what an amazing time it was. Love this type of video, by the way. So I just wanted to pull his comment because Striker, we appreciate you being here and following the channel, and he and I talk on Twitter a good bit, and it's just fun.
Engaging with the content.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, just let us know your thoughts. We let you know our thoughts. Exactly. So let us know your thoughts on our thoughts.
Yep. But so all that to say, I won't really be talking about my video specifically later, but I'll just talk about the game a little bit more in case anybody skipped the video but is listening to this. It's great. It's I'm not actually done with it all the way yet, but I'm fairly close to the end now. I've got like through 2 or 3 chapters left. And
how long have you been playing this? Like 3 weeks or something like that? When they send it?
I've been playing it like 2 weeks or so, maybe a week and a half, something like that. I just haven't had a ton of gaming time, and then also some of that was also I started to mention this last week, but I think it was in the first take before we had to re-record. But that my wife and I are playing New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe a good bit together, so I'm somewhat prioritizing getting my wife into gaming over playing myself. But in any case, it's really cool overall. The RPG mechanics they use a card-based style as far as it's kind of like a deck building sort of situation. And I had so many thoughts about it, and then I just forgot all of them. I mean, the video talks about some of them, but it's just a really good time. And it feels like, it reminds me of SteamWorld Dig 2 in the sense that it feels like you do a lot of stuff and you cover a lot of ground, but it doesn't really, I don't know how to, it's kind of a good version of a surface level way of doing it, where like, you know, it's not like you have a billion battles. You just, within one chapter, you probably only have probably 6 battles, unless you want to go back and grind more. And so, which sounds like not very much, but the way that it's handled is pretty good. And I think one of the things that I do enjoy about the deck building aspect of it is, compared to, I don't know, like Pokemon or something like that, the Pokemon trading card game, with that, because you have 60 cards in your deck, there's a lot of room for kind of just really different, you know, within one deck, you could have a completely different game multiple times just based on what you pick up when and all that kind of stuff. But you can also kind of, you know, plan your deck accordingly so that you have things that you can play it a specific way. You know, if you've got the classic like 4 Mewtwo's and all psychic cards deck or whatever that is, then, you know, whatever, you can do that. Whereas with this, because you only have 24 cards in your deck total, there's a luck element to it, but you can also plan it out pretty efficiently. So if you know that this guy, you know, or the enemy coming up is, you know, has a weakness to frost type stuff or something like that, then you can plan your deck accordingly to that and have a good chance that you can make the combos you want to happen. But then there's also a luck element involved where sometimes you just can't, and it's, you know, a bit frustrating, but in the good way of frustrating, where like you're just waiting around to finally be able to do the right kind of combos and stuff. So I don't know, it just does a really good job of doing the deck building card game stuff, and I like it. But if you want more thoughts, go watch the videos.
These are facts.
Indeed.
I don't play many card games, so that's why I was like, you know, like in terms of like whether or not I wanted to play it. A card game that I do want to play, Konami, is the Yu-Gi-Oh one that's coming to Switch. So send it to me.
It still blows my mind that that's Konami that has that. Like, I don't know why it does, but
it's so random.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's theirs. I think.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
Send it to me, and I'll play it, and I'll talk about it, and I might even make a video about that. Like,
yeah,
honestly, because I used to like Yu-Gi-Oh a lot. It went off the rails. Well, it was never really on rails. Let's be honest. But it went way past where I wanted to pay attention. So that happened.
Yep. But we are paying attention to Nintendo's fiscal year end and their sales and numbers and all that kind of stuff, which came out this week, and we're going to be talking about.
They made money, guys.
It's so many monies.
Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
Yeah. It was funny to me, though, how much not as big a deal people were making about this prior to, like, I don't know. I feel like some other quarters, there's been like a bunch of predictions. I guess it makes sense because it's like after holiday, like, you know, which is Q3 fiscal year or whatever, but it's Q4 calendar year. It makes sense that after the holiday season, everybody would be like, ooh, how many consoles did they sell and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't really hear as much about that this time prior to it. But in any case, we got some numbers and some data. And then also a lot more just little pieces of information that came out of there that can have some fun speculation. So I'm going to read some numbers now, and here they go. So in the last quarter, the Switch quarter sales were 2.46 million Switches. And so the full fiscal year, so that's last April 1st until this March 31st, they sold 16.95 million. Right. And lifetime 34.74 million. And so they actually were just a little bit like 0.05 shy of the 17 million forecast that they had, which was 3 million off from their initial forecast. Which I mean, all things considered. Sorry, you cut out for a second, but go again.
All things considered, I feel like they could have done that. It was just like a matter of like pacing and like that sort of situation. Like them saying 20 million didn't surprise me at all, you know? I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Granted, at the time, like there was a few games that like were supposed to hit at like certain points that they didn't, and they got delayed and pushed back. And blah, blah, blah.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, it makes sense. They'll probably destroy their forecast for this next year, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, which is 18 million. And we'll talk about why that'll be a little bit later, I'm sure. Software sales, they sold 23.91 million in the last quarter, 118 million in the full fiscal year, and 187.5 million total, which that's, man alive, that so that means, I think, and we'll see it somewhere else, but they sold just way more software in these past 12 months than they did up until that point. Like they had just so many more sales,
which I mean makes complete sense. Because like it's weird because like a lot of times people's forecasts, it almost sounds like they only think people buy software when they buy the unit, and then that's it. Right. Which if it's the Wii, sure. Yeah. You know, but like any other, like any healthy platform is going to be different. That even unhealthy platforms like the N64, you know, like people bought games for that thing like crazy. Yep. But for context, in terms of like just aligning sales and stuff like that, even though they missed their forecast, those are still ridiculous numbers. Yeah. Because it's still what? You said 3.2 or 3.4? Because I know that both of those numbers were thrown around ahead of time.
3.4 for what?
For how much the Switch sold lifetime.
Oh, yeah. 34.74 million.
Yeah. 34 million. That's 4 million more than the PlayStation 4 did at the same point in its life. Yep. That's insane. Because you also had to keep in mind that the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One always have one more holiday than Switch does when you align the sales. Yep. That's crazy.
And it's, I mean, speaking of the N64, it's, everybody probably knows, but that officially beat out the N64's lifetime sales, which, you know, like that was a pretty important console, all things considered.
Yeah. I mean, something that you'll hear people point out every time you like, well, not all people, but the people that are like, you know, want to hate on Nintendo, they're gonna be like, well, N64 didn't sell great, blah blah. But yeah, you're talking about something that took years for them to reach that number. This reached it in 2.
That was, I mean, it's like, I remember seeing when the Switch was still a year in or whatever, and they had I don't know, some people were posting a meme sort of picture of like the Wii U games versus the Switch games, and they were like, oh, I thought the Wii U didn't have any games, and it was showing how, like, you know, it's a bunch of the same games because of ports and, you know, similar type games and stuff like that. And I was like, well, for one thing, hardware, but for a second thing, 5 years versus 1 year and a couple months, like, there's a difference there. That's not apples and apples.
Yeah, like they got the whole thing that's like, this is why you should buy a Wii U in less than 2 years, really. Yeah, you know, like we had the Splatoon game, we had the Pokemon game, we had well, granted, we didn't even have a real Pokemon game on Wii U. Got Mario Kart, we got Smash Brothers. You know, like all the heavy hitters are on Switch now, where it's like, it's to the point where some people would be like, well, should I get a Wii U? But there's no point. There's 0 point to get a Wii U, because everything that I would have been like, get a Wii U for Mario Maker, get a Wii U for Splatoon, get a Wii U for Smash, but all that stuff is on Switch.
What if you want to play the Wonderful 101, AJ?
Then stop being stupid and want to play a good game. I went all this time without having Kamiya block me on Twitter, and that's the thing that's going to do it.
Man alive. Yeah, it's doing some crazy things, and they actually beat out their, because they hadn't revised, I don't think, their software forecast for last year, and they beat it out anyway, which is honestly, like, that's where they make their money for the most part, so that's fantastic. And then their software forecast for next year is even higher, which very much makes sense with everything that's coming out and stuff.
Because, duh, you know, like, obviously, like, Pokemon and Animal Crossing are going to, like, sell, like, what? I would say combined, like, 25 million bare minimum. So, like, of course, they would need to, like, go higher on that in that regard.
Yeah. And then I'm curious about Smash DLC. Like, I mean, Smash didn't sell. Oh, you know what? I don't have I thought I'd pulled up the specific game somewhere, but I didn't. Let me pull that up as well. But Smash sold a decent amount this past quarter, but not like as much as I was quite thinking. But I feel like as new fighters come out, that'll just keep going up and up and up. Yeah,
like that'll be like Mario Kart. It'll like just keep selling progressive. Like that's not going to be a game that ever like falls out, or even Breath of the Wild, you know, like every quarter you're going to see at least another million added to that total.
I was surprised how not a lot of sales of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee though sold this past quarter, like going up, because it was at 10 million and it's at now 10.63 million, which, I mean, that's, you know, 630,000 units isn't like nothing, but that's still not as much as I would have quite anticipated. So I wonder if
I feel like the announcement of Sword and Shield kind of hurt that.
Yes.
Where it's like, well, I can just get the new one. You know, like you already kind of missed out on the zeitgeist of like that first 10 million. So everybody's just waiting it out. But like at this point, like if I'm Nintendo, I'm calling that a win, just because like it already outsold any other console Pokemon game. Like that is like just objectively on the level of a handheld Pokemon. It sold more than Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah, another one that I thought was so New Super Mario U Deluxe, no surprise, sold fairly well. So it sold 3.31 million, but that's the kind of game I'm especially curious to see how that'll do. That'll have a huge bump, I feel like, on through holiday season. Yeah, because that's like quintessential, like, oh my, you know, my son likes that Mario kind of thing.
Those are the games that for every other platform in the recent years, like the last 15 years, if you look at the top sellers on there, it's number 1 or number 2.
Because I think Mario Maker is the game that people will buy for themselves, and for a good while in the future, for the majority, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is the game that people are going to buy for other people for the most part.
Yeah. Like, I'm curious to see how much that's going to sell.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where that's going to land. Because, like, I know Bob, as we all know, Bob just thinks that's going to be, like, the best-selling game this year. Like, all that stuff.
Oh, Super Mario Maker. I thought you meant New Super Mario Deluxe.
No, Mario Maker.
Yeah.
Mario Maker specifically. And I'm curious to see where that ends up falling. Not specifically just this year, but just long term. Like, will that be closer to the 3D Mario games or the 2D Mario games, where again, like, we're looking at the 20-30 million units sold? Because, like, I don't know, like, how marketable that is broadly to be like, you like playing Mario games, we'll make your own. Like, I don't know too many.
It depends on a couple of things. One of them, I think, is how much better they do the playing aspect of it, not mechanically, but just kind of UI. And, like, because at this point you can either search for levels specifically, or follow a person and play their levels, or go to, like, the top rated, or do 100-man Mario, you know, normal, expert, super expert, whatever. And that's pretty much your main options, but there's none of those are, like, perfect for just casual playing. I mean, like, 100-man is pretty good for it, but there's got to be something a little bit better than that. I don't know exactly what it is, but, you know, that's maybe I'll talk about it at some point. But yeah, they've got to do something in any case that makes the playing experience just really easy and approachable. But then I think the other factor that'll make it really popular is just how widespread the media of, like, people playing it and streaming it and that kind of thing online is, which, if it's anything like it was for Super Mario Maker 1, that's going to be crazy. I mean, there's still, like, streamers that's their thing is Super Mario Maker. So, you know, that game came out on the Wii U, a console people don't care about anymore. And so, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, like, I have very limited, experience watching just Mario Maker streamers and stuff like that. And I know we talked about that a lot, because that was your thing. You still, like, follow people that do that.
Yeah.
The only thing that I've seen of that is from Game Grumps. Like, Ross from Game Grumps really, like, latched on to that idea, and, like, all those videos for, like, the first couple, like, episodes of that series have way over 1 million views. Which is, like, I mean, Game Grumps, like, they're popular, but they don't usually get that on every video they make.
Right.
You know, like, they're not Jacksepticeye. They'll usually get, like, on a good video 500,000 views or whatever. But every Mario Maker video has way over 1 million up until, like, episode 30 or something like that.
I think the thing I'll say for it, as far as a content creation thing, especially if you're doing the 100-man type stuff, it's just Mario stuff in general. Like, it's got a great story arc, even though there's not a story arc or whatever. Like, just in the sense of, you're doing, you know, these 6 levels if it's super expert, or doing, you know, 16 levels if it's expert, or whatever it is. And so in that sense, there's just this, as long as the video is edited well and the person's fun and interesting, then, like, it feels like you start it, and then there's obstacles to overcome, and there's a conclusion at the end. Whether they lose or win, like, that's the conclusion of the thing. And so it feels, as opposed to somebody being like, oh, let's do a Let's Play of Smash Bros. Like, there's not quite the same, like, I have stopped playing Smash Brothers because I've stopped playing Smash Brothers, as opposed to, like, because I, you know, achieved this thing. So I think that's something it's got going for it. As far as content creation stuff, that probably helps it out to be just entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, for me, I think the thing that I can see on the side of content creation and how that's going to push the game and stuff like that is the moments of, like, how Ross was, where he just became the guy, the Mario Maker level maker guy.
Yep.
And all the fans and stuff want to be able to say, like, hey, I beat your level, like, in the same way that, like, people will play me and Bob in Smash Brothers just so they can post a video and be like, I beat so and so in Smash Brothers, you know, like, that sort of thing. They wouldn't be able to tweet at Ross and be like, hey, I beat your level. You know, so I can see that helping propel the game too.
Yep. Yeah, it really is a wild card in a lot of ways, I feel like, because I think it's, as long as they promote the fact that you don't really have to make, like, you can try out the making part, and if you don't really care about the making part, you can just have fun with the playing aspect of it. Yeah. As long as they give equal emphasis to both of those, then I think they'll be all right. But if it is marketed to where it's like, this is just a game creation tool, yeah, fewer people will, like, I wouldn't care about it a whole lot in that sense, because I'd be like, I have 2 ideas for levels that I want to make when it comes out, and then that's pretty much it, and like we'll just see past there. Yeah,
like the problem for me with Mario Maker is like I'm more interested in that end of it, like the making levels thing, but I'm so like meticulous with it that it takes me so long to make anything, right? Because I'm like a lot of people, what they'll gravitate toward is like, I want to make a level that's hard and makes you rage and stuff like that. I don't really care about that. I try to make levels that I could see them making, you know, where it's like it's themed after a certain mechanic or whatever, or a combination of mechanics that culminates into another essentially mechanic, you know.
I mean, depending on how they do the multiplayer stuff, that also could really help that as well, because if it takes a really long time, maybe there's some aspects of it that like you enjoy doing and other aspects that I enjoy doing that, you know, we can like, all right, I'm going to pause my, you know, part of it here and then let you pick up from that point, in the same way that, like, you know, if you got a band, like I play a lot of instruments, so yes, I could write a drum part and a guitar part and stuff and tell everybody do it like this, but it's more fun to be like, all right, I'm just going to do the drum part, and then, you know, whatever you got for guitar, go ahead and do that, and then stick it all together.
And I spoke to that a little bit in, I don't remember which video it was, but one of the videos where I was talking about Mario Maker, where I was basically saying like, yeah, like that, being able to collaborate and making the levels versus making or playing the levels, I think is more interesting to me.
Agreed.
Because multiplayer Mario's like, meh, you know. Like, it's more fun if you're trying to troll each other, but it's not really a thing of like, let's get through this game, because you're always going to do better if you're by yourself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's we had some friends over and played 4-player New Super Mario Bros. And man alive, it was a mess. We had a good time, but like there were just so many times where like, all right, everybody bubble up except for me. Like,
it's Smash Brothers items on versus items off.
Exactly.
Like, that's essentially what it is.
Whew, yeah, exactly. That's what it is. And it's chaos, but you know what else is chaos? Is fiscal years and all the random bits of news that we get from it. So this is a bunch of random news from the thing. So this is David Gibson, who's an analyst, and I follow on Twitter, and seems like a pretty nice and reasonable guy. He attended the event, and so just kind of live tweeted out some things. So this is just, I'll read a bunch of these, and we can just kind of stop on the ones that are interesting, because some of them are kind of nothings, but others are quite interesting. So here's a bunch of things that he took note of. So after the new year, penetration is accelerating for Switch. Cool. Nintendo expects further growth. Switch is up. What? Yeah, I know. What a news topic. Switch is up 23% year on year. Switch globally ahead of 3DS pace, but behind DS/Wii. However, launch timing impacts comparison, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's essentially saying what I said already, where it's always a holiday behind. Granted, it's not. I think DS launched holiday.
It might have also.
3DS didn't.
Maybe it didn't have a worldwide launch though either. Like that's especially back then. True. It was, you know, so maybe it was holiday here or was not holiday here, but was in Japan.
I know 3DS was not holiday because that was like April or something like that. I remember getting mine. So in North America, so DS pretty much worldwide with the exception of Europe, but like Europe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. Japan and North America, it was holiday.
Gotcha.
Regular DS. 3DS. Wikipedia, I'm counting on you to just have a quick link to the 3DS from the DS. Here it is, successor. There we go. Okay, so no, just generally it was not holiday.
Gotcha.
Everywhere it was around February, between February and March.
Oh, interesting. It says launch timing impacts comparisons, but in that case, not a whole lot for the DS.
It impacts it for the ones that it's being outpaced by, is what he's saying. Because the DS, again, like that was holiday for the biggest markets that they have. And then Wii, again, that was holiday.
Yep.
So yeah, it makes sense. Being ahead of 3DS, I think, is impressive, but like also that's more of an apples to apples comparison.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Next up, it says Smash Bros. Is the ultimate driver of post New Year's sales of Switch, seeing expansion of games played by those users. Games sales plus is 50% year on year in March quarter as a result. So that's good. Switch software sales per hardware is better than Wii at a very high level. Okay, this one was interesting. So again, I'll read it again. Switch software sales per hardware is better than Wii, which was already a very high level. I think it says.
I don't know if that's impressive. Just because like I said, like a lot of people, they bought Wii and that's what they did. You know, like they had what was in the box and they're done. Yep. They're like, all right, I got Wii Sports. Maybe it got bundled with Mario Kart or whatever. You know, which I mean, obviously not at launch, but when they got it, and then that was just it. Like they didn't buy more games. For Switch, it's like Switch owners seem to be buying a ton of games.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's a difference between it being surprising and it being important, you know? So I think it's like, it's not surprising for sure. Cause like you said, I mean, the number of people, my in-laws, for example, exactly have a Wii that has Mario Kart, Rock Band, maybe Just Dance, and maybe like probably Wii Party or Wii Play or something like that, you know, like, or Wii Sports or something. I don't know. So which, you know, those are all great and good and fun, but that was exactly what it was, you know, like they aren't liable to have a Switch particularly, but I could probably influence them in that direction. But no, but more realistically, I think is just that, yeah, it's really good, especially because software is where they make most of their money. So if the hardware does continue to keep up or like keep even close to the Wii pace and the software is so much higher, then that's, you know, really good.
Yeah, like that's big money for them in that regard.
Yep. Monthly active users has doubled year on year in March quarter, which I mean, I don't know how exactly they pick that metric, but I guess just people that are playing in general. So that's,
I don't know, but this is another one. Like this is one of those like bullet points that's like duh.
Yeah,
because in the last year they doubled their install base. So you would assume that the active users also double.
Yeah, I guess, that's a very good point. Because I was wondering, like, if it's like a percentage kind of thing, then cool. But obviously the wording seems to not imply that. So, in fiscal year, this next fiscal year, in addition to main titles, Nintendo will have new titles that communicate how much fun users can experience with its device. Great.
What does that mean?
Pokemon Sword and Shield gameplay. Okay, I actually have this one as an article, but we can talk about it right here. Pokemon Sword and Shield gameplay has reinforced the portable play mostly. And
what does that mean?
That's okay. So here's the full thing that Shintaro Furukawa said on it. So one pair of major titles being released this new fiscal year is Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. These new titles, first announced in a Pokemon Direct in February, have generated a huge response from consumers. Pokemon Let's Go and Pikachu Pokemon Eevee, which were released in November of last year, are designed to highlight the fun of Nintendo Switch and TV mode, for example, by waving the controller at the TV screen to capture Pokemon. Pokemon Sword and Shield are being developed to emphasize the fun of playing Nintendo Switch in handheld mode. We want these games to be played not only by longtime Pokemon fans, but also by consumers whose first encounter with the series was on a dedicated video game platform with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee.
Okay, I still don't understand what that means. Like, what about handhelds is like... I get what he's trying to say. Like, I get what he's like gesturing at, where it's like, this is a Pokemon game, right? You know, like
or
this
what
is
he's
not,
hopefully trying to say. In any case,
yeah, like this is like a dedicated Pokemon game akin to what you would see on the handhelds up until this point,
right?
But like it doesn't. It's not a good like kind of way to like frame that, where it's like, Pokemon Let's Go is supposed to be enjoyed on your TV because you like wave your controller around. You have the Pokeball Plus and you have stuff like that. What's the comparison point for that for being handheld?
Yeah.
Like, what about Pokemon gameplay is like inherently handheld.
Yep. The only things that I could think would be like touchscreen stuff. And I mean, besides maybe resource management, I don't really want touchscreen stuff. So I mean, I think really, I mean, like you were saying, I guess really this probably just means, yeah, it's a standard, you know, it's akin to the handheld games of the past in gameplay sense, that there's not like extra gimmicks and stuff, you know, as far as, or at least that's what I assume it means.
Yeah, because like when I think of like something that's like, oh, this emphasizes the benefit of something being handheld, it's the pick up and play. Like I'm gonna like, I would say puzzle games are really good at that, where it's like I'm just gonna clear this puzzle and then I'm done. You know, but Pokemon's not really like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it's kind of a like not exactly what we want to hear too, because even though yes, like Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee emphasize the TV aspect, it wasn't for the reason specifically that we want, i.e., you know,
yeah, like people are like, oh, I want better graphics and like that,
right?
That sort of
and
situation.
so like, I think that's the thing is at this point we're excited because there's going to be a Pokemon game on an actual home console, even though it's a hybrid and also a handheld. Like it also is a home console, so like that we that's important. Like do something with that.
Like people want the console experience with Pokemon. Like people want that.
Yep.
So
yeah, like
we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah.
We'll see exactly what he's talking about.
We sure will. Man. So yeah, continuing along in this thing, releases are continuous with other titles also planned, not announced. Yep, that's to be assumed. Nintendo Switch Online now has...
Is it though? I don't know if it is. Because like if you look at this year compared to like last year, like I would assume that they're going to announce more third-party stuff, but like I think that their year is set just with the stuff that we know. Like additional stuff is cool, but I can't say that I expected it.
Yeah, we have a question actually in the Q&A.
I can't say that I expected it in the sense that like, oh, they better have more stuff announced, you know?
Yeah, I don't... There's not a whole lot of gaps. I actually was going through, and I don't know if you saw me tweet about the Excel spreadsheet that I made, because I did.
No.
It was I was just doing a project at work that had a lot of like waiting around time, because I was doing a huge import that took forever and then had to do a bunch of them and stuff. So in the meantime, while I was waiting for those to happen and paying attention out of the corner of my eye, I was like, I'm going to make a spreadsheet of all the games that I have on Switch and the different, like, I don't have folders yet. So I was subcategorizing them into like having check marks for multiplayer or like, you know, first party and third party and stuff, just because I don't know, I'm a weird guy. That's what I do. But then I also made one for upcoming games that, you know, or games that exist that I'm interested in, but like there's some reason I haven't gotten them yet. For example, like I am waiting for a sale, and like if this game hits this price point, then I will buy it, something like that. Again, fairly stupid, but the kind of fun things that I like to do.
I mean, hey, it makes sense. I can't relate because like I'm just like the extent of planning that I do for what games I'm going to get is like, hey, can I play this?
Yep.
And then like if I like it enough, like I think the last game that I bought was Dragon Ball FighterZ, and that's because I didn't have a Bandai Namco contact yet.
Yep.
But I wanted to play the game, so I bought it. But I didn't think of it like that, you know, like I'm not like when it gets to this price and blah, blah. And chances are now, like just because of like the whole Nintendo thing, I'm less stringent on like what I buy.
Right.
It's just like a thing of like, hey man, I like supporting developers, and like I already don't do that much directly.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell people about games and say, hey, you should buy this game, and I'm sure that's helped them, you know. But like I don't really think about it in that way. So like if I like thinking about it and put myself in those shoes, like I can understand people playing their games out like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep, there it is. It's just that's the way the things go. But the whole
basically
point of
what
that,
we're saying is Parker will make your spreadsheet for you, and you just gotta punch in the games that you have.
I mean, absolutely. If somebody
his.
wants the template, I will send it over. That would be fun for me. But the thing I was going to say was I was looking at the latter half of this year, and I was like, I don't even know how I can plan out what these games. I mean, I just put in like fake dates that some stuff was going to be coming out, but I was like, I don't know. Like, it seems just super crowded, even with just this.
Like, we don't even know. And like, What are they doing? Like, I don't know. Is there a news story in here for this Mario Maker stuff?
Oh yeah, I forgot to put that in. That's June 28th.
What are they doing? Why though? Like, why are they just like announcing stuff like that in tweets?
Yep.
I mean, like, you totally can announce it in a tweet. Like, it's not like we needed all this pomp and circumstance to be like, hey, this game's coming out on this day. But like, it's still weird. It's still like nobody expected them to just be like, hey, this one of the biggest games that we're releasing this year. Yep. Here's a tweet that tells you when you could buy it. Which gives me hope for E3, but at the same time, I don't know if I want to like use that, you know, like, because
like if you want to have that hope and then be disappointed,
right? I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily be disappointed, because like I said, this year, like the games that we already know of, like I'm already done, you know, like this is all the games that I need. I mean, I'll happily take more, but like Pokemon, honestly, they could have just released Pokemon and Animal Crossing, and I'd be like, all right, cool, like I'm down. But we're getting way more than that. So like, just thinking about the directs that we've had so far this year, and then also heading up into E3, it feels like they're getting rid of a lot of the stuff that we would view as fluff.
Yes,
you know, where it's like, okay, I know this game exists, you don't got to spend too much time on it, just give me a date and be done with it. I feel like they're just giving us a date and being done with it. Like, we might see it like a highlight reel of like, here are all the games that are coming out, with the like splash screen of like, this is the, you know, like the lower third of like, this one is coming out, but not like a whole 2-minute segment of Mario Maker 2. Remember we announced this? Here's more. You know, like,
I'm excited. This is a thing that was, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm really excited that this E3, it's not like there's one obvious game that's going to be like the game they're going to spend like all their time on. Because even I was kind of disappointed, is probably the wrong word, but like at the end of the 2017,
how dare you say you were disappointed about Smash Bros?
So I wasn't even going to say that. I was going to say the year before that with Super Mario Odyssey.
Okay, that's okay. You can be disappointed in Mario Odyssey,
but just the pacing of the directs for both of the past 2 years has been like kind of like, here's a bunch of games, here's a bunch of games, here's a bunch of games, and then like right at the end,
and here's the game.
Exactly, which is like, that's not really the best way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, for Mario Odyssey,
I mean, I loved seeing all the Mario Odyssey stuff. For
Mario Odyssey, I was less irked about it. I don't even remember being irked now that I think about it. For Mario Odyssey, because we didn't really know that much. Like, I don't even think we knew what it was called.
Oh, maybe we didn't. Did we? Oof, yeah, I don't know.
But for like Smash Bros, we got so much information.
Yeah, oh man, it really was just too much.
Granted, I mean, like, we didn't know what Smash Bros Ultimate was called either. But like, all the stuff that was after that, like all the directs that we got post E3, it just made it feel like that was even more worthless. You know, it's like we didn't need a half an hour to talk about Smash Brothers. It's not necessary.
I mean, and the thing too is like the most recent directs, like the one last September and then the one in February, have had like the perfect pacing. Like, even if the games themselves aren't the ones that you would want to see in there or whatever, like the pacing itself was phenomenal. And so like, I'm hoping like, that's going to be the case again.
The only thing that really matters, at least to me, like how I grade directs, isn't like, it's different from like how a lot of people do, where it's usually like super personal. It's like, how many of these games do I like? For me, I don't really care about that. I'm just looking at what is the variety in games that they announced. And if they had like a couple of games for like everybody, or at least one really, then that's a good direct in my mind. Like Izzy Nobre, who's another YouTube friend that we have, he tweeted during the direct, where he was like, "Oh, this was a bad direct because only like 4 games," and I'm like, "What?" Oh you know, like what other ad gives you 4 games that you like? You know, like this is an ad, and they just sold you on 4 games. That's more games than a lot of people buy in a year.
Exactly. That's, and like, I mean, fully agree. And the E3 Direct last year too, there were a bunch of games that honestly like were in a sizzle reel that if they'd taken them out of that sizzle reel, like I think on a viewership standpoint and a like just, you know, PR press, like what's going on in their standpoint, are kind of two different things. And I think what, you were saying as far as just seeing what the variety is kind of that more just PR press, like here's, what all we got and what new information we have now. But there's something to be said for like, they just, need to make it feel like fun in the same way that in a movie, for example, can feel super long and dragged out, but have the exact same information if you take out just a couple of the things that are still in there, and it feels like a better movie just because they took out some stuff. It's like, it's not about exactly the content that's in there as a viewer. It's about the pacing of it and like the kind of the ride of it. But then also, I definitely, like you said, if you're watching an indie direct and all of them are 2D side-scrolling platformer 8-bit games, then that's going to be a little bit like, all right, like, come on. I need a little bit more going on to this.
Unless you like that sort of thing, in which case, cool, I guess. But like, I would definitely be like,
at that point, it would be subjectively good, but objectively, like, not the best showing overall.
Yeah. Right. Because you're marketing to almost 35 million people at this point. Like, you gotta spread that out. Granted, I mean, with that said, like the last direct was like RPG heavy, So like there wasn't like a crazy amount of variety, but there was variety. And that is a good thing.
It is. Yeah, on this topic too, there's a bunch more bullet points in this, but I'm not going to go down them.
Yeah, we could still go through them.
All right, I'll just read them real fast then, but because the next article I was going to have was actually still kind of related to some things we were just sort of talking about. Oh man, this has a lot of good things that will even lead to more conversation. Here we go. So that was releases are continuous, so the other titles planned not announced, blah, blah, blah. Nintendo Switch Online now has 9.8 million accounts excluding trial, which I think excluding trial is a good thing to add in there.
That was an important thing for them to add, because everybody was like, how many of these are free trials and blah, blah, blah.
So 9.8 out of 34.74 million. Like, that's not awful, but it's also not like amazing. But I do feel like when
I don't know, I think that's on par with like PlayStation. At least Xbox is another story, because they have like way more users than they have like 60 million or something like that. PlayStation has like 30 million paying subscribers.
Okay, so it's a third,
which is exactly right. So like that's the more or less the same ratio.
Yeah, I mean, and I think and it's so much cheaper. Like anybody who's still mad about it, like, come on. I have lots of words I could say, but I do think when they add, I'm curious to see in any case when they add SNES games or something else besides NES games to that part of it, if that's what they're going to do, which maybe they don't do it as part of the online, but I don't know, whatever. When they keep adding stuff and improving the value of it too, I just feel like that's going to go up even more. But we'll see. Yeah. Tetris 99 has had 2.8 million accounts played this game.
That to me is weird.
Yeah.
Like I would think that it would be more than that. But
there you go.
Hey man, everybody likes Tetris, I guess.
Yeah. They plan to add more to Nintendo Online, including more classic NES titles to make it more attractive. Okay. So obviously not just adding more NES titles at this point. Besides, like, pulling more third parties.
I don't know why they name checked that. Yeah. I don't know why they said, we plan to add more NES titles. Like, that's a...
Yeah. I mean, but I am glad the phrasing of it says plan to add more, including more NES titles. Right. So that does mean there's something besides just those, which is, hopeful. All right. This one's actually a big one that I didn't include as an article, but China working with Tencent, but timing is not set yet and not in guidance. Nintendo's planning on going into China, which is a whole topic in and of itself.
Yeah, but like that, I don't know how much that matters. Because like people are like, China's like the biggest game market and like all this stuff, but like Switch is kind of already available in China. So I don't know if like that easier access is going to like make it explode, of like, okay, we went from 2 million people in China having a Switch to 35 million more, like I don't know if that being available easier for them is going to like dramatically increase it.
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess I also don't know, because my impression was that even if somebody in China could theoretically get one by like them getting it through somewhere else, or I don't know if you can
like
buy
going
them
through like Hong Kong or
right.
like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At that point, I feel like here's my guess. If anything, it would change the culture, not change the culture, but would make it to where like having a Switch is like when Pokemon was more popular during Pokemania than it was not during Pokemania or whatever. So
right.
I feel like to some degree, if like there's actual marketing everywhere for it and all that kind of stuff, then it'll be something where it's like, oh, that's, like Fortnite is or whatever, where because lots of people are playing it, lots more people play it or whatever. So I am curious as well to see how that pans out, because I have no idea. But I mean, it sounds like it could be something really early. Investors think it would be something really big, but that's not anything I really know a ton about.
Granted, investors are kind of stupid.
Yep. We've seen that a number of times.
Yeah.
But yeah, mobile expanding with 2 titles this summer. Mario Kart Tour beta to do final polish before the launch. Those 2 titles are Mario Kart Tour and Dr. Mario World.
Yeah, I'm upset about that. Because they're having a beta and it's only Android.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Yep. Apparently, I've heard the speculation, at least, that it's just because Android has more like variety of phone. Like a lot of phones run Android, but it's like you can have a Samsung or an LE or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably easier to like have a beta on Android too. Like,
could be. Yeah.
I know Apple does have like a system for that. It's like Test Flight or something. I know I don't know if I can talk about that. But I've done that in the past for apps. So like, I mean, they could theoretically, but I don't. Maybe it is because of that, like troubleshooting with like the 5 billion different SKUs of Android that there are.
Yeah, but if you've got an Android and you can apply before May 7th, I believe, and then May 22nd to June 4th is when the actual beta would be. So go check it out and tell us how it is, because I want to know. At that point, I mean, we'll have lots of information about how it runs, so that's good, because I don't know what the game's even like. They haven't told us, but May 7th is coming up pretty soon. So
I wonder how far, because it's a beta, it's not an alpha.
Right.
So we're not looking at like 6-7 months from that. Like, are we going to get it in like, I don't know. I mean,
they
like
said
August?
Summer 2019. So.
Okay, yeah. So.
Pretty soon, I guess.
I'm thinking August at the latest.
Yeah. I'm thinking something. I mean, at that point, we'll have marketing about it as well, or at least, again, like it's a beta, so we'll know how the game works and like what the mechanics are and stuff like that. So I feel like they wouldn't keep that too far out. So yeah, I'd say probably July or something it would come out.
Also, I don't even know why I'm like acting like I'm going to play this, because I'm probably not. Like I'll try it. Like I always try their mobile games, but like I just don't play games that much on my phone.
It depends on what it is for me. Again, I've said before, I've got fairly specific kinds of games that I would play on my phone, and it's probably not this one. Dr. Mario World actually might be the kind of thing I play on my phone.
See, I might play that. Yep. Because like if I play, like the only games I play on my phone are like, what is this, like threes, like stuff like that.
Right.
So I could see myself playing Dr. Mario.
Yeah, something where I don't have to be constantly looking at it, I feel like is important. Where like I can just like, I don't know, be watching a TV show and then every once in a while kind of look down, do a thing, and like look back up. That kind of thing is nice. Although with Dr. Mario, I guess that you still kind of have to be watching, but whatever. Moving on, some more things. E3 will not have significant presentation for analysts, but will have demos and events.
Which, again, like, I don't know why they said that.
Yeah.
It's been like that for years.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
that?
No.
Like, I could only see, like, the only time that I could see them having, like, a press conference is if they're having a console launch around that time. And even then, it's like, they don't need that.
Yep.
During E3 anyway. Like, they'll have, like, a live presentation like they did for Switch, and it'll just be removed from, like, E3.
Yep.
Because people mostly own their own messaging now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, I don't know why.
I mean, especially like in a microwave, which we saw with even just Super Mario Maker 2 or Mario Maker 2 just coming out, and with the release date on Twitter, like they're not working on getting together a big press conference to show that, or even a direct. Just letting us know. Which also, by the way, it's pretty much the end of April, so no April direct. Turns out we were all like probably April direct, but. Barely not.
I just felt like we were going to have a direct before E3. I don't know if it was going to be April.
Yeah. At this point, I feel like it's
I mean, they might not do it now.
Yeah.
Just because they're over here announcing Mario Maker release dates on Twitter. Like,
they could even...
Maybe they're going to announce 3 new games on Twitter.
I mean...
Maybe that's what's going to happen.
It's entirely...
It's possible at this point. We'll probably get 2 3DS games announced on Twitter.
Yep. Oh, I didn't read those numbers, by the way, but the 3DS, yeah. I was surprised that they didn't...
RIP 3DS.
Yes, I was surprised that they didn't officially say in this, like, the 3DS is dead. They also, they haven't given any prediction. Oh, wait, actually, maybe they did.
I mean, I think they did.
Yep, they did.
For the year. But they basically said that it's dead, and, like, more or less. They were basically like, we're just going to sell this based on its existing library, and, like, people are going to buy it for that.
Yep.
They're not saying that they're actively supporting it anymore in the sense that, like, oh, well, Mario Kart 9 come into 3DS.
Yeah, they're definitely not. I just looked at the forecast again. Their forecast for last fiscal year was 2.6 million, and they sold 2.55 million, and their forecast for this next year is 1 million. So, like, probably just holidays is they're going to sell some more, and then that's it. So, which is fine. No problems there. But yeah. And then they said on China, Nintendo doesn't know timing, so not in guidance, even if included, then not going to be significant this year. The phrasing is weird there.
They're basically saying, like, that's not part of their projections because they don't know if they're going to release it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Which is good that they're not inflating based on that, and then they'll have some issues come up or whatever.
Yeah. I want to know what they think that means. Like, when they do projections, like, thinking of China, are they going to be like, oh, we're adjusting our 18 million to 42. Yep. 42 million. That's how much we're going to sell this quarter.
Yep. Yeah, and I think also their projections did not include the Switch Mini stuff, which we can
of course
get into the Switch Mini thing that they said, because that was, if it weren't, it's going to be more than 18 million. Like with the Switch Mini stuff coming out, which it sounds like is a done deal at this point. We got even more reports of it from like Bloomberg, and Nikkei came back down and said, like, yep, no, it really is happening. So they were asked during this presentation if they had plans for announcing the Switch Mini or a Switch revision at E3, and Shintaro Furukawa said, so it says, Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa commented on some of the speculation during a financial results briefing today. He said, new hardware will not be announced at E3. So, like, that's a lot of wiggle room still.
Yeah. He didn't say, no, we're not working on new hardware. He deal with it.
Yeah.
He just said, no new hardware, specifically at E3.
Yeah. Well, and he didn't even say it wouldn't be at E3 so much as it wouldn't be announced there. So it's still possible, like, maybe they announce it beforehand and then they show it off at E3. Or, or they announce it after, or whatever.
Nintendo, do me a solid, fam, and just have a demo event in New York, because that would be easier than E3.
Agreed. And have it during a date that I can come up there and also go. I would be happy with that.
Why don't you do me a favor, my guy?
Which, I mean,
two favors by having the event and then also inviting me to go to it. 2 favors.
That's true. Just having it might not be quite as helpful to you as you being able to go. Man, there's just a lot of other little news things, whatever. The thing that I wanted to read on this, on just the IPs and stuff that we were kind of talking about. Again, this is from Shintaro Furukawa, as far as when we were talking about all the games coming out this year. He says, as you can see, we will constantly... Well, it shows a slide that has Labo VR, Super Mario Maker 2, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Astral Chain, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Luigi's Mansion 3, Animal Crossing, and Link's Awakening. Interesting to me that Astral Chain is on here, which is third-party developed, but is exclusive, but I didn't think was like... first party?
I think it's published by Nintendo.
Okay. But then what about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3? Isn't that one also published by Nintendo?
Yeah.
So why didn't they put that up here is what I wonder. I don't know.
Maybe they don't care about it.
Maybe not. But in any case, the thing that he said, as you can see, we will constantly release new titles during the fiscal year ahead, and there are still more titles we haven't discussed. We intend to continue to expand the lineup of software that can be enjoyed by consumers around the world and that will keep people playing Nintendo Switch. In addition, we will continue with efforts designed to keep consumers playing software long after it has been released. For example, we released a major free update to Super Smash Bros. That adds Stage Builder and the ability to edit and post gameplay videos, simultaneously with the release of the first set of paid add-on content this month. Mario Tennis Aces was released back in June of last year, but we've continued to hold tournaments and distribute new characters, and in a major free update added a new kind of gameplay also this month. By releasing content online and holding events that build excitement for a game, we are making the game fresh for consumers and encouraging them to keep playing.
Yeah,
kind of two topics there overall. One of those, mostly the Mario Tennis one, I think just gets to me because I'm like, I played Mario Tennis immediately when it came out, and I played through the full campaign really fast, and it was like, and yes, it's kind of like the Kirby Star Allies situation again, where like there is a lot of content now, but I don't know. I feel like you can't have not enough content at the beginning to then have enough content later. You've got to have, I would rather more sparsely new stuff come out, and then I don't know, like something about that just doesn't feel quite, the balance wasn't right there.
It depends on the game for me, because like Splatoon, when that initially did, I mean, people complained about it where they're like, oh, by Splatoon I mean the original on Wii U.
Okay.
Which, I mean, Splatoon 2 was kind of the same way, but it launched with more content initially than the first game did, obviously. But like people were basically like, oh, this doesn't have enough content, blah blah. But like their content strategy for that game worked for me because it did exactly what they wanted it to, where it was like, hey, here's this like small selection of weapons so you can get like acclimated to the mechanics of the game and like find a weapon here that you like, and then we'll sporadically release new stuff so you can try that out and see if you like that more and like stuff like that. So like that worked for me, and because it's a multiplayer game, like a lot of the times I'm not really looking for like a crazy amount of content, just enough content so that I can look at it and say, oh, I like this. And by content I mean like specifically like weapons, or like in Smash Bros. Like fighters and stuff like that. Like I don't need the 75 fighters in Smash Bros. I just need them to have enough variety that there's a chance that I like one or two of them. You know, so like in that regard, like that works for me. I think for Mario Tennis, it's kind of half and half in that way, where it's like I want them to have enough content because it is like it does have a big influence. I mean, not influence, a big focus on single player stuff. Like, you know, like they advertise the story and all that stuff, and also just local play in general. But it does have that online multiplayer component. So I would say that like in some ways they can get away with less content because a lot of the content for people that like really like that game is going to be just playing it online, you know? Because it's tennis, right? Like I don't know how many big spins you can put on it, and post launch.
That's the I saw that what you did there. The tricky thing, I guess, too, is that like with Splatoon, because I think that's a great point, and the fact that I don't play Mario Tennis online is also what hurts it, to where like the game has more content in the sense of I could play it online as much as I want, and that's kind of endless content technically speaking, but you know, I just happen to only play the single player stuff and like a little bit of local multiplayer stuff. But the thing with Splatoon, like my impression of it is that the weapons included in there change up the gameplay more so than like change up the experience minute to minute, probably more so than a new character in Mario Tennis would. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends, because like if say I only like Mario in the initial launch, right, and then they release a character that plays differently than Mario, so like rather than an all-around character, they release a technical character, and that just so happens to be the only technical character I like. I would say that that's a bigger change than a lot of the changes that we would get in Splatoon, where it's like, here's this new weapon that is just like a reshuffling of the ones that we already have available. Because a big differentiator for the weapons is like you have your main weapon, which would be like your dualies or your whatever, and then you'll have like your sub weapon, which is like your grenade and that stuff, and then your special. So it's basically like sometimes we'll get brand new specials, but a lot of times it's like here's a special that exists on this other weapon, but now it's on that one. You know, so it's like same weapon, just different combination of things that you already have access to. So like it really depends on who the character is and like what they are compared to like what already is in the game and if you like that character or not. Or the existing character.
I guess I also wish like because they're adding new characters and they have added a couple new modes, but like new stages like that. I don't think they've added new stages, but I could be wrong about that. But that's something that like I know they added new maps or whatever to Splatoon as that went along. So I think that's something too, where like adding not just more content, but more content of a couple different varieties just feels a little bit more full at that point or something. But again, it's kind of nitpicking in some regards, but
like Mario Party though, like that's the one that I'm like, what?
I was thinking the exact same thing like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, that is the game where it's like we need to be knocking down their doors for this.
I do not understand.
4 boards, 4 of them. And granted, I mean, a lot of people are gonna be like, but they're modes, like there's more modes, blah blah. Even each mode is like, if you combine all that stuff together, I wouldn't say it's enough to like constitute a like major Mario Party release. Considering like when you look at the older ones, I mean, like the Mario
and it's one of those things too where like there's some games that you can be playing it and you can tell like, oh, they're gonna add 4 more, like if you're playing an RPG and you're like, oh, the way they spaced out these characters, they could add in 2 more characters and slot these ones around, so probably I'm gonna run into 2 more characters and they're gonna be added to my party, blah 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 blah. I feel like the way that they spaced out that when you go to like the stage select or whatever in Mario Party, up at the top right there's like the 3 icons for the different ones, or 4 icons for the different ones you can choose, and there's all this space between it and what's in the middle of the screen at the top where like it looks like, oh, they'll be adding all these icons over there. Nope. Like they should have put those icons in a way that looked a lot more just conclusive at that point if that's what they were planning on doing.
It's rough because like I liked Mario Party, Super Mario Party, but they need to add more content, and like that doesn't even have the benefit of Mario Tennis, where like you could play that online and it's the full experience with people, like whether it be friends that are farther away or if you don't have friends that play this game, random people, you know. But Super Mario Party doesn't have the full experience available online. Like you could just play a selection of mini games, you know, which is like, just, you know, like if you're going to support your games post release with downloadable content, maybe include Mario Party in that, especially since it's a game that sold like almost 6 million, maybe even more than that. I think. It's at here, I've got it here. 6.4 million. Almost 6.5 million copies of this game. And you don't have post-release content? Are you kidding me? It's crazy.
It really is crazy. And it's not like I think with Mario Odyssey, like in my opinion, the reason they're not doing DLC is because they're going to do
3 times more than Mario Tennis. And Mario Tennis has all that post-release content. This is nonsense.
Oh my goodness. But like, with Mario Odyssey, like I could see that they'd be doing a Super Mario Galaxy 2 situation where they're holding back extra content to do, you know, a subsequent release. But that's just not, it's different than in Mario Party. Like that's the whole thing, is like, it's mini games. You can just come up with as many possible ideas as you can. So like, I mean, just like
that's also true. Like, are they planning a Super Mario Party 2? Like, is that why?
I mean, it's possible, but like, still, that's if they're doing that, and I would much rather have this one get even paid DLC of more stuff than have a second game that has just as little content with no more stuff added later.
Right. I agree.
But we could all just play 1-2 Switch. Otherwise, that's another one that sold 2.97 million. It's still selling. How is it still selling and it's not a pack-in game? No post-release
content for that game either.
Although I guess that was a pack-in game for around Christmas time. There was there was a bundle that had that, I think, as well.
Yeah, and I mean, like 1-2 Switch for me feels more like a board game sort of situation, you know? Because it's like
a game to play, and then you'll get
really. No, I mean like a board game, like a physical board game.
Actually, I don't even know what's the I haven't played it. What's the UI like or whatever? Like all I know is it's mini games.
That's the thing. Like a lot of the games aren't dependent on the UI. Like a lot of games kind of like encourage you to not look at the screen.
Right.
It's all like dependent on like the Joy-Con.
And then do you just pick like we're gonna just go in, we're gonna pick this one and then play, kind of like in Wii Play or whatever, where you're just like, we're gonna play that, and then whoever wins wins.
We're gonna do the air guitar one, we're gonna do the tennis one, where you play a table tennis, and it's dependent on like, oh, it sounds like it hit the table, that means it's near me, and that whole thing. It's gameplay away from the screen. So like it's kind of like, it's like you know that what's it called? No, that's a bad comparison. Never mind. Forget what I was going to say. Doesn't matter. It's not. It doesn't
matter. It's a stupid thing to say, man.
Yeah, but the fact that it's a video game, it's less like a direct video game thing, and the video game is just like support to like this experience that they want you to have like physically.
Yeah. Interesting. That is one that like if I see it on super sale at some point, which I don't really see happening too much. I mean, like I could see it being like maybe $25, like half off at some point somewhere. Like I'd kind of like to have that, just because I feel like that is a good one to have family around and show them like,
like if you have like a lot of like get-togethers and stuff where like it's like a lot of friends and stuff like that, it's a fun game. Because I remember like when Switch first came out, and I got pretty much everything when it launched, and I paid for that. So you people know. Me and Logan and like a couple friends, like we had a lot of fun with that. 1-2 Switch was fun for us, but I can't say I'm still playing it.
Right? Yeah. It's only Super Smash Brothers could have taken you away from 1-2 Switch.
This is true.
That's really it. Yeah,
these are facts.
Super Smash Brothers and Joker. And Joker, speaking of Joker, Persona 5 S was not what we thought it was going to be. So that's the thing.
I mean, honestly, I still wouldn't be surprised if Persona 5 came to Switch. But it does seem like a thing of like them, because Atlas doesn't support the Switch that much.
Right.
Like I don't think there's any Atlas game?
To my understanding, no. I mean, besides they're working on Shin Megami Tensei 5, but nope. Besides that.
So, like, it kind of feels like it could be one of those things that's like, I don't know, if you buy this game, maybe, you know, and at that point, and I don't even care about Persona 5 to begin with. So, like, I was like, whatever, dude. Like, I know a lot of people are mad at this, but I'm just like, okay.
I think if they're not going to put it on at any point, like, I saw a tweet that was about this, and I think it was kind of blown out of proportion, but I still agree with it in kind of theory. Something to the effect of like, if this wasn't going to be actual, you know, Persona 5, like Atlas kind of, they were kind of like standing aside and just letting the rumors run rampant. Kind of
they should have got out ahead of it and been like, no, dude, and this is why. Like, see, that's another reason why I think that it's plausible that it could happen, because they're not denying it. They're not saying that this can't happen. They're not saying this is an exclusive to PlayStation platforms and stuff like that, like they would do for a Horizon Zero Dawn situation, you know? Like people are saying like, I would want that, and then the studio would immediately be like, no, we're owned by Sony.
Or like,
you know,
Studio MDHR did with Cuphead.
Yeah, exactly. But there's no messaging around that saying that it can't happen. So, and it just makes sense. So people are like, well, I think it's going to happen. Because, I mean, people would have said the same thing about Cuphead. If you were like, I think Cuphead's going to happen. People would be like, it's Microsoft game, it'll never happen, blah, blah, and here we are.
I mean, I guess our last, I mean, I don't know about our last chance. It could technically happen whenever in like 3 years they decide to, you know, something, whatever. But like, theoretically, I guess they could at E3 be like, and Persona 5, like now that Persona 5S is out of the way.
See, but that's the thing. Like, I don't even think they need that. I don't think they need to have some type of event to do that. I think they could just straight up be like, oh yeah, Persona 5, the Scramble or whatever it's called, that sold 1.2 million units or whatever, and we're happy with that. So we're going to port over Persona 5.
Yeah, I think just my frustration is a stronger word than I even feel, but like, it makes sense that they'd kind of try to just not be a part of any of the rumors at all, like just not even talk about any of them, because that does set a precedent to some degree. But them just letting it egg on so that everybody, like a lot of people watched Persona 5 concert just to find out about Persona 5S, and yeah, it was not exactly what we thought it was going to be.
I guess this is me more so giving them the benefit of the doubt, because like if they have zero plans to do anything in regards to Persona 5, like the full game on Switch, and they're not blatantly saying it, me being on the more positive end is because I think that they might do it. Yeah. So they don't want to like straight up swear it off. But if they are swearing it off internally and not communicating that, they're scum. Yeah,
I think that's it's all about honesty one way or another. Like, I don't really care on a personal level. Like, it would be cool to have a fit, but I'm fine one way or another. So as long as they're honest about what their actual intentions are, like, yeah, like you said, if they don't know one way or another, then cool. Just, you know, let it play out. They're not going to say, no, we're not going to bring it, and then later be like, but maybe we changed our mind. Like, they can just not say anything at that point. But if they know for sure they're not bringing it, then that was kind of low down. But in any case, are you any more excited about this than you would have been about Persona 5?
No, I don't care about Persona at all.
I just,
and the funny thing is, like, Shin Megami, isn't that the main series? Like, that's the one that's supposed to be the bigger deal.
I don't know for sure, but I think that sounds right. I think that was the original series and Persona was a spinoff.
Yeah, I think Persona is the spinoff.
I think, okay, so Megami Tensei, I think if I'm right, I think Megami Tensei is a series, and then maybe Shin Megami Tensei is also a smaller spinoff of that, or is maybe
this
just
stupid. This is dumb. I don't care about this game anymore. We're done.
Cool. Good for me. Yeah, I very much... I probably would have gotten Persona 5. I'm not getting Persona 5 Scramble. I don't care about Musou or Dynasty Warrior type games in the least.
Yeah. Yeah, like the only small chance of me ever buying those games or getting those games is if I care about the IP. Yep. And I don't care about either one of those things. And even like I got Hyrule Warriors hashtag provided by Nintendo. And like I wanted to try it just based off the fact that I like Zelda. Yep. But I played it and I was like, I don't like this. Yeah.
Also, I just looked it up, and Megami Tensei and Shin Megami Tensei is the same thing. It's just the internationalization of it is Shin Megami Tensei, which is but funny because it's like, that's not like it's English words. They just added an extra Japanese word.
They just added another Japanese word.
Whatever that's about.
All right, then I'm less annoyed and it's less stupid, because if they would have had a spin-off of a spin-off, I would have been done. Yep. But I mean, I'm still not going to play it. But there it is.
Yep. We also will not be playing Metroid Prime 4 for a very long time, it sounds like.
Oh, wait. I want to talk about Detective Pikachu, because I'm upset.
If it makes you feel any better, this isn't going into your video. This is a news bit, too. But before that, yes, let's definitely talk about Detective Pikachu.
Okay, so Detective Pikachu, which I don't know. I tried to like look into this and see if Nintendo even has like a hand in any way, shape, or form other than like the kickback they'll get just by being partial owners of the IP. But like, I don't think they're involved with the production of this movie at all. But I mean, it's related in the fact that we talk about Pokemon all the time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's your connection.
Yep.
They're having early screenings and stuff like that. Like, they had the premiere in Japan, and I didn't expect to like hear anything about that. But there's people, and there was this I don't know, I guess they're like a brand ambassador or something, but he's in like Utah or something, and he has way less followers and subscribers than us, and he got invited to early screening. I went to early screening.
I would very much love to see. I don't even care if it's early. I just want to see it when it comes out. I'm so
early
excited
so I can make content about it before it comes out.
Also true. I just saw Avengers Endgame. It was great. Blah blah blah. Whatever. I'm excited. Detective Pikachu is on another level. I'm just
I feel like that's like sacrilege for a lot of people, because Endgame's like, it's like payoff of like how many years and so many movies and stuff like that. But I'm significantly more excited for Detective Pikachu. Like,
it was a different kind of excitement. Like, I really was. The past couple days before watching Endgame, like, I was sitting at work like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to go see Endgame. But this is just like, I'm ready to just have such a good time and see some of my favorite things on a big screen and just be really happy about it.
For me, it's like, Endgame, I feel like I wanted to see it out of necessity because I want to see it. I didn't want to get spoiled. I mean, even though like in hindsight, I didn't really need to like do anything to avoid that apparently. But like this, I just want to see because I want to see it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And that's rare for me for movies. Like usually I'm like, it's on Netflix or whatever. And a lot of times I won't even watch it there.
Yep.
I'm not good at watching stuff, but I do want to see Detective Pikachu.
Yep. But apparently from what we've heard, everybody seems to be saying that it's the first legitimately good video game movie, which is that's a win.
There's a lot of messaging around. I see a lot of people posting, like sharing articles and stuff, and being like, "Does this break the curse?" I'm like, "Can you break a curse by being one movie?"
Yeah, I know. And also, it's like,
doesn't that just make it the exception to the rule?
Yes, and I think the thing is like the kind of video game it was also lends itself better to a movie probably anyway. And there's just like. It's still different than it being like an RPG movie or something along those lines. Like it's going to be hard still to make like a Zelda movie work. It's not that it's impossible, but it would be hard in a lot of ways.
I think that they can make. I think the thing that's good about Detective Pikachu is that they didn't try to remake an experience that a lot of people had.
Right. Yes.
That's usually where that stuff falls apart for video game movies, is because they try to reinvent something that you already have this idea of what it is and what it should be. But Detective Pikachu, even though it's like, I'd assume I didn't see it, Pokemon Company and Warner Brothers, but I'd assume that it's like loosely based on the game. Like I know that there's like some connections where it's like people that are looking at trailers like, oh, there's a purple stuffed eye, and that's like the game, like that whole situation. I don't know how much bleed through there is with that, but I think that the fact that I don't know that works to their advantage, because I don't have these like preconceived like expectations of like, this is what this should be because this is what the game was like. I just know it's based on the Pokemon IP, and that's enough.
I'm so excited. It's going to be so good. But that said, also Metroid Prime 4 is going to be good. That's the second segue to Metroid Prime 4 I've made. AJ,
I'm going to talk about Zelda now. No,
oh man. So this is just a quick one, but I put it at the end because it tied into your video because it's retro and stuff. Yeah. But they're hiring 12 positions for Metroid Prime 4. And I don't know like a ton about development or whatever, but it does seem to imply that they're still pretty early in development.
It could mean that. I don't think that it means that they're as early as some people think they are. I think that because like it had to be pretty recent where they basically were like, hey, this isn't working out, and then Retro was like, hey, well, we have an idea, and then they're like, okay, cool. They had to have been working on that idea for some amount of time, and I'm sure that they've made some type of headway before Nintendo announced that they were going to do it.
Right.
So they're probably deeper in than a lot of people think they are, because people are seeing like, oh, they're getting like level designers and stuff like that. Like there's hiring that happens throughout the development of a game at every stage.
I think it's what these positions are tipped, that is what tips off to some people that we're still in spots. But I also have a theory kind of on that. So the official the positions they're hiring are art director, art outsourcing manager, lead character artist, lead cinematics artist, lead external environments artist, lead graphics engineer, level 1 gameplay engineers, and then some other ones, blah blah. The thing that I'm kind of thinking too, just a rough workflow of what may have happened and where we might be at, just if everything is going exactly as it is in my brain, is that Retro Studios had primarily one team, like 1.5 team or so, that one of them is actively working on, I mean, and you actually know way more stuff about this than me because your video and all this stuff, but that one of them is actively still working on finishing up or being done with whatever game they hopefully have that's actually still happening that didn't get canceled, which maybe Star Fox Grand Prix, maybe something else, I don't know.
And knowing Retro, it wouldn't be surprising if it got canceled.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of their stuff gets canceled.
Yeah, so that, and then a half of a team or so working on like Metroid Prime trilogy and getting that, you know, working back on the Switch, but like they would have to do a lot of stuff graphics wise to up-res it and whatever, and then also, you know, so the HD part of it, and then also the fixing it up so that the controls are modernized and all that kind of stuff. So some amount of team on that. But then we also did hear that they actually brought a demo for Metroid Prime 4 to Nintendo, as opposed to Nintendo being like, Retro, please just help us fix the thing or whatever. So they had some kind of demo. So all that said, I'm thinking Nintendo obviously wouldn't tell us like, hey, we managed to salvage some stuff from Metroid Prime 4 that was being worked on already, and we're bringing it over. Like, they just wouldn't tell us that, even if it were the case. So we don't know one way or another, but I suspect stuff.
I think they completely canned it, but I do think that Retro probably made some sort of progress with their vision for it.
Yeah. So I don't think when we found out about it, they weren't starting from complete ground zero either. I think they were starting with some stuff from the last project or some stuff from their current like ideas and demo and stuff, and maybe even partly the engine that they have, you know, Metroid Prime trilogy running on or something along those lines. So then at this point, it would still make sense that if they have kind of the bare bones of something, that they would, even if they're a little bit further in than at the way beginning stages, that they would be hiring maybe some people to kind of build around that are, you know, I don't know how this stuff works.
Yeah, and I mean, you would assume that, I mean, whatever they're doing it on a custom engine, because to my knowledge, they don't have like, they didn't hire for like an Unreal Engine specialist in the past, and they're not hiring for it now. So you would assume that they either already have an engine or they're working on that now.
I mean, apparently, if I remember right, Metroid Prime 1, 2, 3, pretty much all the like retro games that have come out up through Tropical Freeze on Switch have been the same engine. Yeah. So like an iteration of their tools. Yeah. So I mean that would make sense. I mean, it seems like at that point it's a pretty, you know, strong.
Granted, I mean, Donkey Kong's on a different engine.
Oh, for some reason I thought I'd understood it was on the same one, but
because they tested it on the Metroid Prime engine, and they're like, this isn't gonna work.
Gotcha. Okay.
I read a lot about Retro over this last week.
Did you now? Why would that be, AJ?
Because I made a video about him.
You made a video? Oh, so cute. Good job, man. That's so sweet. Let's get into that. Yeah. My voice just cracked. That was fun. You made a video, and then there were some comments and all that stuff. And people, if you watch our videos, leave some really fun comments, and the fun ones get talked about in these podcasts, which is a grand old time. So you can interact with the podcast and us and whatever. So we've got some of those comments. Yeah. Here we go. First of all,
we sure do.
Anthony Belvedere says, Star Fox Racing was announced as DLC to Starlink Battle for Atlas, so probably not. All I know, it better be epic to be waiting for years.
I responded to this comment basically saying, like, if anything, I think that lends more credence to it. Like, because it wouldn't be the first time that Nintendo was like, hey, we're working on this thing. Maybe you should incorporate this into your game so people, like, we can gauge the excitement and, like, you know, kick that off to be like, hey, we did a Star Fox Racing thing, and like a tie-in, essentially, without flat out saying, like, this game's out, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I doubt Ubisoft has the power to be like, we're making this racing thing retro. F off, you know? Like,
yeah. No, I mean, I could definitely see that. And it's like, it's the racing part obviously isn't it's one of those things where they already have good flight mechanics built into Battle for Atlas. So if Nintendo was doing the racing thing with Star Fox Grand Prix, if that's even what they're doing, then it, like you said, it would make sense. They'd be like, oh, you guys already have some good flying stuff. You could put some racing stuff in too. Like, that the two don't necessarily mean that it's not going to happen. It's interesting. I think I wouldn't go so far as to say that it means it's more likely, but definitely not that it's any less likely because of it. Although, I mean, I could see where people thought like, oh, that was the confusion behind the rumor because it was actually, we were talking about this stuff instead of Grand Prix. But I really don't think that was the case too, because when the rumors for Grand Prix came out, I don't think this DLC was even conceptualized.
Right.
You know.
Also, it was like very clear that Retro specifically was working on it. It wasn't like a thing of like, Nintendo has a Star Fox game in the works and we don't know what team it is. It might be Retro. It was like, no, Retro's working on a game and this is what the game is.
Yeah, I do think it's really interesting. I mean, we talked about this a bit last week, but the whole thing of like Star Fox Grand Prix was a big rumor for like a couple weeks in the back ends, and then a lot of people talked about it, and then apparently it just shut up. So like, knowing how good Nintendo can be about rumors and like how some things just really don't get out at all, I could see them actually being able to shut up a leak and have it, you know, like have it be a big leak for a minute and then just be completely squashed. And that's why we haven't heard anything more. I mean, again, it's possible that's not the case, but it's interesting. Danny Paddock, hey, Danny, says, I hope they're working on a new IP.
That would be dope. I've wanted them to do that for a long time because Retro, like their whole existence, as far as we know that we've played, has been them reviving things, you know? Like they haven't released a thing of like, here's our take on what a Nintendo IP should be, you know? Like it's just, here's our take on an existing Nintendo IP.
And even then I think I'd be down with them reviving an IP more akin to, you know, Kid Icarus Uprising kind of thing, where it's like, whoa, like it's a huge difference in take. Because I mean, obviously Metroid.
Where's the Ice Climbers game at, Retro? Where's it at?
So like you know, Metroid Prime versus 2D Metroid, it's different, but it's not like a whole world of difference. And it wasn't like a nothing game now turns into a great game. It takes a lot of the core concepts and blah, blah, blah. But like, I'd love for them to take an IP that really doesn't have a lot going on. I mean, like you said, Ice Climbers, where there's not a lot there.
I'd argue that Metroid Prime was like a pretty drastic shift in terms of like gameplay and stuff like that.
I think it was in terms of minute to minute gameplay, but in sense of like it being a Metroidvania like kind of thing.
And like,
that kind of stuff. It took a lot of that, you know, and like implemented it into a different kind of, obviously, you know, atmosphere as far as like the gameplay itself, but just, they had to think of like, how can we broaden this out as opposed to like, how can we make anything out of this thing, whatever this is.
It's kind of like a lot of like they took Metroid for what it is like conceptually as a franchise versus what it is gameplay wise. It's they didn't think like, oh well, Metroid's a platformer, so that means that we have to make this a platformer, you know, like they're like, we're gonna make it a shooter. And that's what it is, you know. So yeah, like I'd like to see them do that, especially since I mean that makes sense. I wasn't even thinking about it directly in that way, but maybe that is specifically a Western thing where they do look at it like what it is as a whole, you know, versus like what it has been in the past very specifically. Like Star Fox is a rail shooter, so that means it has to be a rail shooter.
Right.
Whereas like me and Logan are like, nah, it's like, you know, it's about this like bounty hunter crew and blah, like that can be anything as long as it like applies to that and it makes sense with that theming in the gameplay.
I mean, like F-Zero, same kind of thing where it would be great if we saw Captain Falcon get out and be anything like a little bit Captain Falcon from Star Fox or
from Smash
Brothers.
Yeah, like because that's just Falcon now.
Right.
Like most people look at Falcon as a Smash Bros. Character more than anything. Most people don't even know he has his own game.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, like let me Falcon punch somebody is all I'm saying.
Exactly.
Retro,
especially like make it a big deal when it happens too.
Make a Grand Theft Auto clone, but have Falcon be the character that you play.
Absolutely. But yeah, I do, Danny, you make a very good point of a new IP. I think a lot of us are on that page of just, I mean, anything they make hopefully would be something, or anything that gets out at least is hopefully something that's good, but it would be great if it were a new IP as well. Guardian says, Metroid Prime is one of the greatest games ever made.
I need to finish that series because I always like dipped in and played a little bit, but I never like finished it, and I need to do that.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm just waiting for it to come to Switch, and if that doesn't happen this year, then I'll go back and, like I said, I've got the first 2 games on GameCube. I just play handheld so much more than I play on the TV. So like, it'll take me so long.
real close to buying the trilogy on Wii U when that happened. Yep. But then I saw it didn't support, because there's like certain games that you can play on the gamepad if they have like support for the classic controller or whatever, and it just was Wii remote. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Yeah. I'm not plugging in a sensor and getting batteries or or doing any of that nonsense. Yep. I'm not playing. So I'm just gonna wait until it comes to Switch. And if I got to, I'll just get a GameCube and then get those games, or try to see if I can find mine.
Yep. Yeah, man. Adam Antium says, "Hey, I like that."
That's a Star Wars thing. No, it's not.
It's not although it mostly reminds me of
DC. I know.
No, I know, but it mostly reminds me of RuneScape, actually, because that's it
probably is something like that too.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like TM. Adding that means it's a medal of some sort. Yep. So like, maybe it's not a Marvel thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. Where I could see it starting with Marvel, though, and RuneScape just was like, I don't know, adamantium, because they've got like mithril and adamantium and dragon plate armor. Like, that's not a thing. Dragon isn't, whatever. Adamantium says, good video.
Hey, you don't know.
Keep them coming. My favorite Retro Studios game is the first Metroid Prime. It just has that atmosphere and that depth that I don't think any other shooter has been able to achieve.
You know what's crazy? Like, in that time, there was like a real debate of like, which game's better, which one's technically more impressive, Metroid Prime or Halo.
Yeah.
Which, like, that will never happen again. Of them being like, what game's technically more impressive, this Nintendo game or this Xbox game?
Yep.
Like, that was a interesting time.
Very much so. I mean, like, ports to Switch are technically impressive that they can get certain ones to run, but that's completely different topic than like, yeah, exactly. Than like seeing.
It's like a different skill. It's like, oh, you're able to like get the most out of a little.
Yes.
But in this regard, it's like whose technology is more impressive, you know? Like, because both of them, I mean, Xbox was more powerful than the GameCube, but the GameCube was competent. It was in the conversation still.
Yep.
Whereas now, like, you don't even look at it as like that thing. You know?
I think the comment's interesting too over here, where like that Metroid Prime has depth that other shooters don't have. I think because of that dichotomy, most shooter type games or games with shooting mechanics in it have taken more from the Halo way of going about things and Call of Duties and stuff, where it's about shooting more than it is about, progression.
Everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And like world building and that kind of stuff.
Metroid's the opposite of that.
Exactly.
Metroid is like shooting is a means to an end rather than it being the end.
And arguably it's not the best shooting mechanics anyway.
Yeah.
But again, with an HD trilogy, that could very well change, and hopefully that's something
true. And they've since figured it out.
Yes, right.
And not like retro specifically, but like the industry has since figured out how third-person shooters work and how they should control.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, Liquid Sun next up says, I really enjoy listening to the history of one of my favorite game studios. I hope you do more of these videos, AJ.
Thanks. I'll consider it. People need to click on them, though. Maybe you should share it. Tell your friends. Say, hey, you like these type of videos too? Watch this. Because, like, all signs, and we've talked about this, all signs say that the people that watch the video love the video. Like, the like to view ratio is pretty good.
And all that stuff.
The viewer retention and all that crazy behind the scenes stuff. That's looking great. But YouTube doesn't look at that and say, oh, maybe we should recommend this to more people. So, got to talk about the stuff that YouTube's going to look at and say, oh, maybe we should recommend this to more people.
Yep. Which SteamWorld Quest was not that. But the last comment we've got was Wound Up Penguin says, I really enjoyed this look at retro, and I'd like to see you do the same thing for other Nintendo studios as you suggested. Keep up the good work.
I was thinking like immediately after I made this, because like it always happens where I make a video and then it like there's just news happens, you know. Like I talked about retro, and then they had the news about the hiring and stuff like that. And I wanted to talk about Monolith, and there was news about that, and they're opening a new studio. But I don't know if I'm going to do that, because I feel like Monolith is even less marketable than retro.
Yeah, right. Especially because a lot of the things they do are like great things that really matter to a lot of people, i.e. Breath of the Wild helping out type stuff, where they were really, you know, made a big difference, I'm sure, in Breath of the Wild, but they're not like...
But it's like... They're not the front man.
In the same way that, honestly,
people know who
if you made a
is.
video about Nintendo EPD, like the content itself of like, this is what it like Mario Odyssey and, you know, Breath of the Wild, and like all these things are so important, but like it's not marketable to say Nintendo EPD.
I feel like Nintendo EPD is pretty marketable, because like you don't even have to call it Nintendo EPD.
Yes.
You could just be like Nintendo's biggest studio, the studio that makes all the games you care about, you know, like that sort of thing. That's easy to market. Monolith is like, they make Xenoblade. So like you can't even do the thing of like the creators of this game that's a big deal, you know? Like, because the game that they're known for is like, you can't be like the creators of Fortnite, where did they come from, you know? Like, it's Fortnite, so people are going to care about that sort of thing. But you don't have that to pin up for Monolith.
That's the behind the scenes of people who are trying to make YouTube videos that you guys want to watch.
True.
Us. YouTube's been not helping out very much recently, which has been unfortunate, but you guys are awesome, and we appreciate you guys for checking in and following up and commenting and liking the videos and stuff. Like, that's super important and helpful to keep the lights on and help us to be able to continue making things so that you can stay educated and entertained.
These are facts.
Facts and truth. Truth and facts. Some other things you can do that will keep you educated and entertained is asking us some questions, like the ones that we're about to answer, which AJ mentioned earlier. Discord, that's a thing. You can ask us questions on Discord, or otherwise AJ posted earlier today on YouTube, and I don't think anybody asked some questions on YouTube, but whatever, they're there. And I think somebody just added a question on a Discord, because I got a notification, so I'm gonna pull it up to make sure it's there too, so we can get all of them, all of your questions.
Because we missed Brooks last.
We did. Yeah, it was like right in the not nick of time. This one did come in the nick of time. It's 2DS, who I guess used to be Bebop. Is that right? On
I think so.
Discord. What's up, 2DS? This was the one that just came in, and so I'm going to read it before the other ones. Kill the animals? Question mark.
Wait, what?
Okay, so the reference to that is, I think it's Metroid Fusion, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to decide if you want to kill the animals or not kill the animals. I haven't played Metroid Fusion, if that is the one that it is. So I don't know from experience, and I don't remember what the difference is, honestly.
I remember that with the speed run, people like on Awesome Games Done Quick.
Yep.
It's like a donation goal or something.
It is a donation goal.
I don't know, because I don't know what happens if you don't or do.
I think it's better to kill the animals, but it's sad because, you know, like...
That's messed up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
I'm going to say don't, because that's messed up.
We just had our dogs groomed today, and we pet a bunch of cats today at the pet store. So I'm also going to
say do, because they bit me.
Actually, one of the cats did bite me, and I was like, come on. I was just... So it was at PetSmart, and they have some rescues that you can go in and see. And so I was petting one cat, and she was super nice and sweet and stuff. And then I went along and was petting some other cats. And then towards the end, I went back to that first cat, and she was like sniffing my hand, and then she bit me and scratched me. She's like,
you've been tainted.
Exactly, like 100%. I'm positive that's what it was. She was like, I only loved you when you only loved me. So I was like, all right, I can't take any of you home with me anyway, so I'm definitely not taking you home in addition. Yeah, with 2 dogs, I would love to have a cat as well, but it's just not going to happen. But questions. Kill the animals. We're going to say no for today. Check back in next time, and we'll see how we feel.
Maybe Parker gets bitten again.
My dogs do look very cute, though, now, which is just very fun and nice. So next up, so this is Bagel Dennison, which is Brooks. I hear specifically asked AJ, so I'm not even going to answer this question. I'm just going to sit back. No, I'll talk a little bit too. But do you think Nintendo has the capacity to pull something crazy out of left field for E3, or will they really only have the bandwidth to focus on the announced titles?
I think bandwidth is less of the issue. I think that I'm not sure if they have the catalog of exclusives that they actively support to do that. I think that we're going to get something announced that we don't know of, but I don't know if it's going to be like as big of a deal as the games that we already have, you know? Because the only other thing that they could do is like a new Mario game, but we're not getting a new Mario game.
Yeah.
You know, like we're already getting Mario Maker or Zelda, but like we're probably not going to get another Zelda. Like we're not going to get the Breath of the Wild this year.
What about that Link to the Past though? We're not going to get that. Come on, AJ.
I mean, possibly, but I don't know if that's like if that qualifies as the out of left field thing.
No, I mean,
so like we'll probably get something, but I don't know if it'll be like on the level of the games that we already know of. It's not going to be something that's going to become their big thing. It's not going to like trump Pokemon or Animal Crossing.
I agree. I think, okay, here's vague thoughts. I think it's entirely likely that we see what Retro's working on. So, but which is quite likely Star Fox Grand Prix. Possible A, we don't see it. B, that it's not Star Fox Grand Prix and that it's just something else. I think I agree on the front that we won't get a huge Trump thing or whatever. But I guess it's possible that they pull. I don't think they like doing this, so they probably won't, but like pulling a Metroid Prime 4 kind of thing and just teasing something that's for further in the future. But that's really not been their MO for E3, especially besides Metroid Prime.
Also, I don't think it really worked well. For them with the games that they did, because like think about it, like the only time they really did that was for Pokemon and Metroid. And we
in what regard for Pokemon?
When they said we're working on a Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch, and then everybody's like, "Oh, this is the one. This is where we're going to get it." And then they announced Pokemon Let's Go, and then they had the backlash from the the people are like, "Oh, but I want the other thing." So like it really didn't benefit them. I mean, I feel like it benefited them in the moment in the sense that people didn't get mad then, but they still ended up getting mad. So it's probably better for them to like get mad in the past and then be excited when the games actually happen.
I think it was a very good decision for the first year, but it's less important now because at this point they could just focus on only what we know, and that'll be, I mean, people will for sure be disappointed because they'd want left field stuff, but that would be plenty of content as far as actual content goes. So they don't need to, and it actually might be a bad decision in some regards. But that's more something I think that it seems like the September Direct is more the one where they are now starting to do the further away stuff, like how they talked about Town or whatever. But like also Town, we don't know when that's coming out. And
like, are they talking about that during E3? Like, that can't be also holiday. They can't do that to themselves.
I have no clue what that
needs to be like a summer game.
I could see it September, May. I mean, it can't be near. I mean, it's definitely different.
I don't even think it could be September. September's also too close.
I guess the question too is what scope of game is it? Because it could very well be like a $40 something kind of game.
Yeah, that's true.
And then at that point, like that's great, you know. But man, it's just so hard to tell, and especially with Pokemon coming out and Game Freak doing both of those, like it being 2019, I think that game's getting pushed back mostly for it's just reasonable that it would kind of a thing. I don't know. But then as far as like left field stuff, I'm thinking this could be a year where possibly we see more third party support, but that and maybe not, like it's still possible that like we never get a Call of Duty on Switch, even though we got them on other consoles.
There was something that they mentioned during their investor stuff where it's like, this is the most development kits that we've been like that we've sent out for a platform ever. Which, I mean, that could mean something. Granted,
lots of indie developers nowadays
too.
Be a lot
of indies. Exactly. So like,
Yeah.
like we really don't know what that means.
Yep. So, I mean, that's the thing is like we could see a lot more in other companies' presentations that they're like, this game's coming out on everything.
Right.
You know, like Mortal Kombat and like Doom Eternal and Wolfenstein Youngblood and stuff like that. But it's, as far as in Nintendo's Direct, I could see them having one bigger surprise kind of a thing. I mean, this is something that we'll talk about more as it comes closer to E3. But for the most part, I feel like they've got so much already to talk about and focus on that they haven't shown anything of. But we'll also see a bunch in Treehouse. Treehouse is going to be really fun this year because there's going to be a lot of... I just did not care about most Treehouse last year because it was Pokemon and Smash, both games that I really enjoyed and wanted to play, but just they don't demo, or it just wasn't as interesting. I think
Smash Brothers demos well.
It demos very well, but sorry, it like doesn't... again, kind of like with the story arc kind of a thing where it's like you're showing mechanics more than you are like... you know, this cool part, like Xenoblade was an awesome Treehouse game.
I think for Smash, Pokemon less so. I don't think they needed to demo that as much as they did, but I think that it was a good move for them to demo Smash Brothers a lot. Maybe not as much as they did, but a lot.
I think it was a good move. I just didn't enjoy it.
They can really drive home. Yeah, that's true. But they could really drive in like, this is a different game, you know?
Yeah. That's a good point. Man, I still remember listening to you and Logan talking about that. It was just funny.
Yeah. I mean, and still to this day, I still don't feel bad about that. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, you're going to like regret that you said that and blah, blah. It's like, no, based on the information that I had, I didn't want to say either way, you know, because like, as we knew then, they're calling it Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo Switch. You know, like that's really the only information that we had. And then people are like, oh, but there's copyright. And it's like, yeah, but they have the same copyright for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah.
That was also copywritten the year that game came out. So the information that we had didn't make it look like a new game. What did make it look like a new game was E3 and like the pace of the game and the style of the game and like the UI and like all that stuff. That makes it look like a new game. Agreed.
Yeah, E3 is going to be interesting. I am just excited about it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good. Moving along.
This is true, and it's so close. It's so close.
I know, it really is. It's just over a month. It's like a month and a half away, which is real fun. We got a couple questions from our good buddy Grim Hain. What's up, Grim Hain? This one he asked last week.
This first question he already asked. He already asked this one.
Yeah, he said, where's Dan? We want Dan. Sense. Not some non-ambassador followed by Reggie guy.
Unless he's talking about you, because technically you're not an ambassador.
So right.
You're not followed
Grim
by
Hain,
Reggie.
I am hurt. But I will push through, and
it's funny how many people have like told me to like jokingly, of course, if they're like, I can't believe you don't like just say that to everybody. Where it's like, are you followed by Reggie? Like, do you know who I am? You know who follows me on Twitter? Like that sort of thing. Like I'm always telling Bob to do that. Where he's like, do you know how many subscribers I have?
How often are you and Reggie just DMing back and forth and?
You know, all the time, dude.
Man. I knew it.
All the time, man.
I knew it.
Matter of fact, let me reply. I'll keep him waiting. Sometimes I keep Reggie waiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do from personal experience of keeping you waiting. I guess. All right, moving along. Grim Hain asks some more questions. PS5 backward compatibility sounds awesome. How is Sony going to make us cry when they release fully details?
His questions confused me. I got dyslexic real quick. I was like, what? But then like I get what I know it. I get that what he's doing there. Sure, why not? I guess they're going to make us cry by doing another thing with Mark Cerny, and he's going to talk about teraflops for 20 minutes. And then we're going to see all the shiny new graphics. Because like at this point, I feel like even with PlayStation, like this past generation, I wasn't impressed by graphics. I was just like, everything just looks shiny.
Yeah.
Like literally, you know, like the big like differentiating factor graphically was that there's just a lot more like reflective surfaces in most games. And like, yeah, I guess so, but like the hair still looks like garbage, you know, like this still barely looks like a person. And even the games that are like graphically impressive, they tend to be more stylized. Like even Uncharted 4 is more stylized. It's not like photorealistic. It's more on the like almost Pixar-esque sort of situation, you know? So I don't know, maybe this is the generation where stuff looks photorealistic, though I doubt it.
Yep. I'm curious. I actually understood this question differently. I was thinking he was saying, so it sounds awesome that it has backwards compatibility, but how are they going to make us cry, like disappoint us anyway somehow about it?
Okay, so like with
how but he can mean it either way. So like I think what you said was also valid. Yeah, like how could they maybe mess that up, I guess, or whatever.
I could see them mess it up. Sony messes a lot of stuff up and they still get away with it, to be honest with you. So I don't know, maybe they're going to require, like, maybe they'll do full backwards compatibility for PlayStation 4, because like if they don't, then that's dumb. But the other consoles, they're like, we have backwards compatibility, but you need a PlayStation Now subscription.
Right, yeah.
So I could easily see them do that.
Yep. Backwards compatibility is fun. I hope they do it well, for not for my sake. I don't have any PlayStation games, but for somebody else that does, do it.
I mean, I have a fair amount of PlayStation games, but just like I feel like I get annoyed when they say that, like when, you know, like the Andrew Houses of the world are like, we don't need backwards compatibility and stuff like that. But like, honestly, I think I'm one of the people in that demographic that just doesn't care. Like, I care for a little bit, but like when it first comes out, then it matters, because like I want to have as much games to play on this thing as possible. But after a while, it's like, I barely got time to play the games that are on there.
I guess it would mostly matter for things like, I don't know, say, for example, you play Overwatch all the time, and then you get a PS5, and Overwatch isn't ported to PS5 yet, or something, you know, and then you want to keep playing it, but you also want to play some PS5 games intermittently too, so you don't want to have to switch between the consoles. So for that kind of thing, like, I could definitely see that.
I feel like for the most part, the people that complain about it are the people that want to trade their PlayStation 4 for the PlayStation 5.
Right, yeah.
Which, like, I think it's kind of, like, weird to complain to like Sony about that, or any console manufacturer about that, because they're like, hey, we want to give you less money and give more money to GameStop. You know, like,
I mean, or just the convenience factor, I guess, of not having two different things set up. Like if somebody has a Wii U and a Switch for a while,
I'm definitely on that side of it, because like I don't like having more than one console set up. But
speaking of which, I converted one of my friends to I don't know if he already got the Switch, but he's planning on getting a Switch. His PS4 is crapping out, and he was like, all right, Parker, why should I get a Switch and not just another PS4? And I was like, I mean, honestly, there's reasons for either one, so I'm not gonna like try to convince you one way or another, but then kind of just gave him some pros and cons, and he was like, all right, I'm getting a Switch. I was like, all right, cool. So we're doing our jobs.
You know, this is true. These are facts. More facts.
More facts. Grimhane asks, P5S, so Persona 5S, why did Atlas even do this? Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't particularly, I mean, as I've established, I don't particularly care about this game, but I think they're stupid for how they announced it. Like,
like teases on teases on teases thing. Like, come on.
You tease stuff like that vaguely if you know people are going to be excited about it. It's not a good idea to tease them vaguely if it's this. Yes. Because nobody's going to be like, yes, man, I wanted this way more than that other thing.
I mean, similar to what we were just talking about. If it turned out that Smash Bros. On Switch, so Smash Bros. Ultimate, was actually just a straight port of Smash 4, and it was just like a, you know, Smash 4 Deluxe or something, then it would be a similar situation where it's like, no, that's like, that was not the way to announce it, and not say on the front end that it's a port. Like if it's, because at this point people are hoping for the best, and so like that just would have been a mistake. So they did the right thing in like not saying one way or another, and then we found out, oh, it is a new game. You know, I mean, obviously, yes, there's whatever things we can talk about on that topic, but like they did a good job there. Whereas for this, like, they raised people's hopes to a certain thing, and then even if this is better in whatever way, it's still like it was a bad idea to do it this way, because you could have just as easily not had the tease for this and have just this announcement come out at a different time and everything. Nobody would have been particularly mad. People would have been excited about a new game. Instead, they're mad about what it isn't.
Yeah, especially like in proximity to like the main thing, because like they gotta know that everybody wants the main thing more than they care about this.
Yeah,
because like the only people that would care about something like this are the people that already care about this game.
Accurate.
Not even the IP, but this game specifically.
Yep.
Because it's not like Zelda, where like if you're a Zelda fan, either way, whatever Zelda you played, you know who Zelda is. So playing as Zelda is going to be cool to you, but Joker is not in every Persona game.
Playing Zelda would be cool to me in a lot of games because you can't most of the time. Boy Zelda.
What are you talking about? You could play Boy Zelda in so many games.
Yeah, man.
What a news,
last question from Graham Hain, and you're not ready for this one. It's a doozy. What are you all having for dinner? A friendly reminder to eat because it's important to do so, according to doctors.
I need that reminder. I don't even think I did that today. I might get some Chinese food. I don't want Chinese food.
I just had Chinese food like 2 or 3 days ago, and it was quite delicious. So I second that.
Snap.
I do not
Can
know.
I order that on like Grubhub or something? I'm going to see if I can order like Chinese food on Grubhub.
Probably, but alternatively...
Hashtag not spawn.
Yeah, I guess. I was going to say, you could probably just, you know, like... They do a fairly good job of delivering it, I'd imagine, but you probably would have to have a hard time. Yes, exactly.
And I don't want to call people. You know what I mean? I'd rather just click on things.
Okay, quick story before we finish up. That was the last question. So, but here's this story. One time.
Oh, you didn't answer. What are you going to get?
I don't know. I think my wife and sister-in-law are hanging out downstairs.
Oh, so you're just going to.
They probably already ate, or maybe they got something for me to eat. I don't know, but otherwise, I'll just make a sandwich, or I'll probably make some pasta because I eat spaghetti. I love it. But here's this quick story about Chinese food and things. I called in to order Chinese food once, and I tried to ask them, "Do you have chicken teriyaki as one of your things?" And the guy replied with. And I didn't understand quite what he was saying because he had a very, very strong accent. And I was like, okay, never mind on that, I guess. But then and then I said, like, I'll get General Tso's chicken and, honey chicken or whatever for Ashley. And then I got there and the total was more than I thought it was going to be. And I was like, all right, whatever. And so I got home and I was like, why was it $26 instead of like $21 or something? And I pulled out the thing that, like, when I asked him if he had chicken teriyaki, he kept saying a certain grouping of syllables that I didn't understand. Turns out he was saying chicken sticks. And so I ordered chicken sticks and had no idea what was going on. But he kept saying, like, I don't want to do an accent. I don't know. It was a thing.
Yeah, that's a bad move.
I was very confused, but I thought I had canceled that part of it, but I hadn't. And it was delicious. And like, I definitely need to get chicken sticks again.
Sometimes
I thought it was a mistake, but it was not a mistake. I got delicious chicken sticks. The end.
And you can get chicken sticks after listening to this podcast too. Thank you for doing that. You know, getting the chicken sticks and also listening to the podcast. Why don't you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already? And if you know other people that like listening to podcasts, maybe they don't like listening to them on YouTube, they can do that on podcast services like Spotify. So what I'm going to say first, because we fought for it tooth and nail, we killed people. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, all of that good and fun stuff. Also, you know, like, you can rate us on those stores. It'd be great. That helps us with placement, and we get the rank, and people get to hear the podcast. They also listen to it. Any final thoughts, Parker?
Chicken sticks, man. Do it.
Just order something. Ask if they have something. Be confused about it for whatever reason. And then just say, yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. And then eat what they bring to you.
Great advice.
All right. Goodbye.
Here's some spoilers for Endgame. Just kidding. Bye.